Hello again, friends! And you are our friends, and welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru, the top-rated Jim Cornette's Drive Thru. Another week right here, wherever you may be and wherever we are. It's summertime here in the Northeast, as well as in Louisville, Kentucky, where our star is right now. Of course, I'm your host, the great Brian Last. And here is the aforementioned star, Mr. Jim Cornette.
Good Lord, you went around your elbow to get to your wrist with that one, didn't you?
I'm trying to exercise more.
All the wordiness was starting to put me to sleep, but that was probably easy because I am a tired but happy man, Brian Last. I got the energy of a sloth on somas today because I've had a hectic few days. A lot of personal business caught up with around Castle Cornette with workmen coming to do various projects and designing things, as well as one of those pesky TV crews was back here at the castle yesterday for about a 10-hour session because I am the darling of cable television whenever Dark Side of the Ring season comes around, and there will be another one. The rumors of its demise basically came from Dave Meltzer, and he's been. Remember that?
Did he say that they weren't coming back?
Remember that was last year. He said, "Oh yeah, Dark Side of the Ring's not coming back, but they're going to do another series." Well, they did another series, and Dark Side of the Ring's coming back. Pismo, but he doesn't bother to check with anybody that might know anything.
Are they doing an episode on Leah Maivia this season?
I don't know if Leah is making the cut or not. I'm not sure because I'm sworn to secrecy so far.
Everyone always says they're running out of things, like they've run through a lot of the dark stuff. Now they're kind of going to some of the stuff that us fringe fans like, but even that they're running out of. Here's one they haven't touched yet: Rocky Johnson.
Oh!
Rocky Johnson got busted for rape in '87, got in trouble for asking a 12-year-old girl to play strip poker in 2002. All sorts of things in between, all sorts of illegitimate kids all over the place in multiple countries, Canada and America. Why haven't they tackled that one yet? And you could tie the Leah Maivia angle right into it.
You know, you are just feeding the Twitterers that say, "My God, what did The Rock do to Swami?"
Well, no,
for you to have this level of venom.
What did The Rock do to Darkseid? Why aren't they doing an episode on Rocky Johnson?
Well, we don't know. We don't know yet.
You can interview Tony Atlas. Come on, that's always fun.
Well, Tony was right there for much of the action and excitement, but nevertheless, what I was about to say.
What about Buddy? Are they doing a Buddy episode?
I swear to God, now you're reading first you tirade against The Rock's progeny and fucking ancestors, and then you goddamn. Sure, you just want to do this show? I'm tired anyway.
Well, it is my show.
The point I was trying to make is I pitched that Buddy Landell no-show Budrow at one point, one of the most responsible people you'd ever meet, and at the other point, a complete maniac who was his own worst enemy, and we loved him through almost all of it, but we don't know about that yet, but I'm sworn to secrecy.
There is no episode.
So far.
There's no episode they could do where you would get more talking heads telling crazy stories while smiling or laughing than Buddy Landell.
Yeah. And even if it was a story about how he somehow negatively affected you, you'd be laughing about it. But anyway, what I was trying to say is I'd like to thank many of the members of the Cult of Cornette, because it turns out, I'll have you know, that the Chris Colt episode, which was suggested and or instigated by our programming here and all the stories that we have told, was one of the highest rated episodes of the season. And that was the network was a little trepidatious because they were like, "Who is this guy?" And they were like, wait till you hear the story. But it was one of the higher episodes. So many of the Cult of Cornette, I'm sure, tuned in, because who else has been talking about Chris Colt?
You know what, though? I think actually, of all the stories they have, at least the last season, as crazy as it sounds, that's the story that may appeal the most to non-wrestling fans because it's so wacky, just in a trailer form. The guy was doing this, the guy was doing that. I've never heard of him. I think it's more appealing than, some of the, what did Jake Roberts do now or whatever the hell they're doing,
Well, yeah, and that's the appeal of the series to me is that on the A&E shows, we've talked about it, you can't even keep up with them anymore. Fucking James Dudley will be a 2-hour biography next week. And the biographies and the rivals and the legends and the feuds and the heels and they cross-pollinate the talking head segments. They're still using mine from 7 years ago. It's the same story that they have to back up and tell that they just told in a previous show to set up the people in the story they're going to, and it's same. And these guys are doing at least some different topics. And, by the way, did you hear about the final tally on they had a contest, Vice had a contest. This didn't have anything to do with poor Evan and Jason, but Vice had a contest for people to guess how many times that Vince Russo said the word bro in a 4-hour interview. Do you know what the final tally was?
I saw this from a lot of people.
353 bros in 4 hours. That is somebody smarter than me did the math. That's 1.74 bros per minute.
Although it turns out if you watch it in reverse, he's telling some mystical story of hidden orbs.
Orb.
Boy, Vice has really fallen, haven't they? This is what they're doing. They're taking polls of how many times you think Vince Russo said bro?
Well, no, because it was actually that's the only thing people are interested in him about anymore is why does he keep saying that? And why does he draw out everyone television?
So that's my favorite. That's
wrestling. And again, vindication. Hallelujah. All these years, people thought, he can't be serious. He's exaggerating. He's making this up. And now they're seeing it on fucking video.
One of my favorite things you ever said years and years ago in an old shoot interview is you made me think of it the other day because you were talking about how Russo pretended Again Ferrara was Patty Chayefsky. And we wrote Duckman. Years ago, you did an interview, you're like, I don't know if he was Duckman. I don't know if he wrote Duckman. He may have been fucking Duckman. That was his claim to fame, Duckman.
I'm glad you reminded me of that because I don't remember saying it, but I still don't know. But nevertheless, so that's coming up in the future. But I've had, as I said, a long couple of days. But in literal terms, the drought is over, Brian. I'm just an Okie from Muskogee. My personal grapes of wrath weather spell is over. Now I know how the people felt out in the Dust Bowl. When they saw the tumbleweeds blowing across, and then suddenly it rained for the first time in 4 years or whatever it was. I planted these goddamn trees, as I've been telling everybody on every program, on June the 3rd. And as of June the 25th, it had not rained a goddamn drop. And then suddenly between Tuesday night's action night at the Louisville Garden, between Tuesday night and Wednesday, we got like almost 3 inches of rain on this fucking yard here, according to the TV news. And thankfully, for 2 days, and now I'm going to take a day off, I haven't had to go out there with that hose for an hour in the oppressive humidity and heat. It was going to give a poor old man like me a stroke. I'm going to be like Ron Wright. I'm going to be a poor old man with a stroke, slinging my big long hose all around my front yard. That'll cause you to have some kind of aneurysm, won't it?
You're swinging your hose. You sit on the ground. You ain't swinging anything.
Well, no, I'm pulling it from tree to tree. You try pulling a 200-foot hose full of fucking water from one tree to another tree and see how...
There has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to do this.
Well, I'm open to suggestions.
I don't have the better way. I just say there has to be one.
There's got to be a better way. Or else wise Cornette's gonna pay. He's gonna have a stroke. And then people will joke that he pissed his life away.
I thought you were going to say you were going to pay the Monroes to do it, but
well, no, actually, here's the problem is that I think they get bored with it and don't get, because I had them do a couple of times, but I think they get bored with it and a lick and a promise, as Mama Cornette used to say, hit it just one lick and promise to do better tomorrow. So I'm personally giving my botany project the proper amount of sustenance. But at least the sky, it poured, it deluged, it torrented, it downpoured, it rained, as Mama Cornette used to say, like a tall cow pissing on a flat rock. Because the ground was so hard and the rain was coming down so hard, it was just flying everywhere. But now we got some. So what's up with you?
Well, this is an exciting show so far. Not much. We got another packed show. We got a review or two, and at least two, actually. Only 2 reviews, and then we'll see how much time we have for the rest of the nonsense. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. Someone on Twitter tagged me like an Anna J thing, and now I'm just like down the rabbit hole of, because all these
you're down whose hole?
Well, no, someone posts now pictures of like all these. You'd be amazed how many women in wrestling have
whose holes?
Well, there's pictures of just about every woman in wrestling in their underwear here. But let's go back to talking about the seriousness.
What kind of goddamn hidden camera fucking Porky's bullshit's going on that they've got pictures of all these women in their underwear?
No, it appears they're taking the pictures themselves. Well, here's Clara Mortensen. Ooh, hello.
Clara Mortensen? Are you fucking... All right, and nobody else knows. Nobody goddamn knows why that popped me so good. Clara Mortensen, ladies and gentlemen. Many think that Mildred Burke was the first women's world wrestling champion. She was the first widely really recognized and exercised one, but Clara Mortensen, what, in the 1920s or 30s, was the one of like 3 lady wrestlers in the United States, and she was the champion. What was Clara's era?
It was, that's a good question.
I found something you don't know fucking right out of your ass.
I would say 30s, right? 1930s.
Well, it has to be the 30s. I'm going to say 20s because Mildred Burke was active by 37.
Yeah.
I think Clara Mortensen. Google Clara Mortensen. Let's see where this old hag started. Is she still alive? Can you hear me?
She's 107 years old.
Well, but doing well.
She was born in 1917. Hold on.
I guess she wasn't working in the 20s then.
This is actually about her acting. She was a large draw in the later 1930s and early 1940s. Women's World Light Heavyweight Champion, retired in 51 and became an advisor and actor.
What? An advisor to who?
I don't know. She starred in the movie Racket Girls, a 1950s wrestling exploitation film. Not familiar with that one.
I don't believe I've ever seen it. Somebody send us a DVD of Racket Girls.
The wrestling one, not the, whatever the pornographic version I'm sure is. Well, here it is, Racket Girls. Who else is in this?
Oh.
Rita Martinez, champion of Mexico. Peaches Page as Peaches Page. A lot of people play themselves. Real live wrestlers Peaches Page and Rita Martinez, as well as former world champion Clara Mortensen, play fictional versions of themselves. I gotta check this movie out. Starring Timothy Farrell as Umberto Scali. This is really an awful episode of the Drive Thru so far, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I mean, you're talking. I'm listening.
Hall of Famer Jimmy Lennon Sr. is in this.
Oh,
film.
Well, there you go.
So it was shot at the Olympic. That's basically all that says right there.
Yeah. And he wasn't even Jimmy Lemon.
He wasn't Jimmy Lemon. You're right. That's what I always tell people.
He wasn't Jimmy Lennon Sr. yet because there was no Jimmy Lennon Jr. I told you I was tired.
I don't know why Jimmy Lemon got me. All right. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, speaking of lemons, there are none available at Cornette's Collectibles. Everything is a good collectible.
I'm glad you brought that up. We're working now on the last about 100, 125 orders. As I mentioned, it's been hectic that we have outstanding, but everything that has been ordered over the last 27 days since June the 1st should be going out to the consumers by the Monday after the 4th of July weekend, which is a little over a week from now as we are speaking. So we're almost there, folks, and everybody's going to have their stuff in the mail or in their hands. And you can continue to order at JimCornette.com with great confidence and no waiting on the non-action figure stuff. And in the next week or 10 days or so, hopefully no waiting. Well, you'll wait for a while. It's not just going to materialize on your goddamn doorstep. You will wait sometime, no matter what you do. You wait for an ambulance, and they're coming as quick as they can. So don't goddamn argue with me about, I was waiting. You said there was no waiting. Well, fuck you. How about that? Take your goddamn money back then, motherfucker. I don't need your goddamn business if you're going to sit here and fucking bullshit with me about, I was waiting when you said there was no reasonable waiting. A normal, reasonable person would goddamn have just assumed that. But no, it's got to be like you. Well, I waited. Well, fuck your waiting and fuck your money. Don't ever lose my number. Don't ever call me again.
This escalated quickly.
Order any of my merchandise. But the rest of you, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com. Back to the topic of lemons.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I kind of don't want to talk about Raw, but we kind of have to talk about Raw because I know you watched it, and otherwise you'll be mad that you watched it for no reason. So why don't we talk about Raw? Now, I will say going into it, we've seen more disagreement with you and me from the listeners and the comments on YouTube and on various social media platforms. Although a lot of people agree with us, more people than we've seen for anything in a while who are either into the Uncle Howdy stuff or wanting to give it a chance or don't understand why we don't see it as brilliant. And I guess I'll just say that here at the top of the show because that's how we ended last week's show, the murder of the entire crew of Monday Night Raw, whatever the fuck happened.
Fortunately, they were able to find another production crew and restaff Gorilla, but go ahead.
But yeah, that's the lead into Monday Night Raw this past week. Another sellout, I believe, just like every other Monday.
Well, let me say first about the people because we have had more people that normally disagree with us on anything, disagree with us on the Wyatts. And let me say that after weighing everything carefully, pro and con, listening to some of the feedback from the Cult of Cornette listeners and carefully considering everything, I've got to admit that I don't care. I don't give two French fried titty fucks. I don't like it. And here's why. And don't come at me with the goddamn... See, I'm going to be cranky today, even though it rained. Don't come at me with Undertaker and Kane had the supernatural power. I was never in favor of Undertaker ascending to heaven. I believe I've told the story of how I hid behind the ring post rather than get on camera for that because he was literally dying and going to heaven on screen in front of our eyes. I wasn't in favor of either one of them being able to throw lightning bolts magically from the ceiling. But I loved the gimmicks that were the wrestling gimmicks. Kevin Sullivan's band of weirdos and oddities in Florida. As we've told a story when Kevin's been on the program several years ago. The fans believed that they were legitimately some type of devil worshipers, even though they never said devil or Satan. They thought they burned their fucking fans' van one time. Remember the story about the weirdos that were following them around because they thought they were weird too? The other fans burned their goddamn van because they thought they weren't teleporting themselves anywhere. The other people in the promotion and the other wrestlers weren't cooperating with it. Obviously, the whole production just didn't stop so that they could wander through like zombies to ominous music playing over the PA system. I don't have a problem with spooky gimmicks or horror-inspired bullshit. I don't have a problem with the goddamn guy in a fucking horror movie mask right in the ring. A big fucking guy kicking his shit out of whatever the fuck. But not when it defies believability and that other people and the entire promotion and production are cooperating with it. Then it's bullshit. That's not what wrestling is about. Do live horror movie shows, plays, things, whatever that would be. But it would be the same thing as if the gimmick was that Samantha Stevens, the new girl champion, is a witch and she twitches her nose and shit appears in the ring. No. So that's why I don't like it, because it's not what wrestling is in any way, shape, or form, whether modern or territory days or the days of Strangler Lewis, for fuck's sake. Does that make any sense, Brian?
It makes sense, and I'll agree with it, and I'll talk a little bit more about it here instead of later on when we talk about the segment. But, you know, my feelings are the same as it was with the Bray Wyatt segments. Clearly creative, clearly someone influenced by whatever, The Ring. Clearly something that someone should go to Hollywood and work on. Shouldn't be on a wrestling show. It doesn't make sense. Explain how it exists. You can't. And then people go, oh, well, you just got to give into it. That's what people said when Bray Wyatt came back last time. Just go with it. And it got worse and worse and worse. And I know a lot of people are raving about the Bo Dallas interview, him interviewing himself. I said it on Twitter. You'll get it. It was like a Michael Ano video. Like it rewound itself and the tracking issues would come and go, then perfect quality.
And Mike Lano is interviewing a person who then Mike Lano is writing the responses of that person.
That's exactly right. But one other thought about this, and I saw some other people jump on it, and I got to admit it is interesting. All the members of the Wyatt Six, all six of them, wherever they went to after the show last week, Arby's or whatever, they took a picture with some fan. So there's some fan with all six of these monsters out of character smiling, eating their roast beef.
At Arby's.
I don't remember if it was Arby's. Maybe it was Applebee's. Maybe it was...
Oh, like there's 5 Raxes left in the goddamn country.
I don't know where they were, but it was all of them out of character with a smiling, happy fan. Dexter Loomis and some other guy who was probably in NXT and someone else and Nikki Cross.
And before somebody says, oh, well, nobody really believes they're zombies, which is the point, by the way, when do you remember pictures of Undertaker with a goddamn fan in the first 6 months of his career when he's supposed to be the dead man and he's at McDonald's hoisting a burger with some fucking kid? When did that ever surface?
It didn't. It didn't. That's why it's so shocking now when you see The Undertaker and he's such a happy, jovial, storytelling, nice guy. He didn't say fucking boo. I was around him at fan events, like WWF sanctioned fan events in like 92, 93.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything to anyone. He stayed in character the entire time. Didn't break at all. And I think it was like that on the road too with Percy.
Yes. And that's how he is still an icon 30 years later, whatever the fuck. But nevertheless, so that's our feelings on the Wyatt family of their somebody said the Wyatt Six, but who's six? I thought there was 5. Is there 5 or 6? Somebody said there was only 5. Do they still have one to go? Who are these people?
I don't know. Hold on. I'm pulling up the photo right now.
There's a pig and a goat and a rabbit And the ugly girl that crawls around, and Uncle Howdy.
Well, to be fair, there's no roast beef sandwich. I'm looking at the photo now. There are indeed 5 of them. And Bo Dallas is holding up a supersized drink from whatever this establishment is. And Eric Rowan is sitting in a chair, like you would see at a McDonald's or something.
Is he the rabbit?
I don't know. He used to be the Redbeard. Well, he is the Redbeard. He still has a Redbeard in this photo.
Yes, but he may be did the kill the wabbit, the kill the wabbit. All right. So the point is, there 6 or is there 5 or what's going on
There's
here?
5. I don't know if Bray Wyatt spiritually is the 6th or if there's a 6th puppet come to life that we're waiting for. I also don't know why anyone cares, but that's me, lifelong wrestling fan.
All righty. Not afraid of burning in hell. Have you seen that commercial?
Ron Reagan Jr.?
Ron Reagan Jr., my man. The son of the conservative vegetable brain is a lifelong atheist. He does the commercial and he says, Ron Reagan, lifelong atheist, not afraid of burning in hell.
Yeah, it's easy to say that until you start dropping into a fiery pit. And then you're like, I'm fucking afraid. Ah, fire. Sure, it changes then.
But in the meantime, and in between times, let's go back to Indianapolis. They had 12,269 fans in attendance there. I believe that was a sellout, or was it for their setup? The building may be a bit bigger. But before we talk about this show, should we talk for a second about the deal that they have done with Indianapolis? Indianapolis, out of nowhere with an RKO. Fuck you, Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia, Miami, Fort Walton Beach, Pampa, Texas. Fuck all of you major metropolises. They're getting, what is it? A Royal Rumble, a WrestleMania, and
SummerSlam.
And a SummerSlam. Not in the same calendar year, we have to mention that. That's factual. It's upcoming over a period of, did they say how long?
I'm not sure how long. It starts with Royal Rumble in February 1st, 2025. And they did not commit to everything being over a calendar year, and they can't, because I think 2025, is that the one they promised SummerSlam to Minneapolis?
Well, yeah, but it would be insane to do all 3 of their major events in the same place, any place.
It's not Vegas, it's Indianapolis.
Well, it'd be insane to do it in Vegas. Just think about that. WrestleMania 2 nights, you're looking at, they're wanting to have 100,000 people, or thereabouts, give or take. And SummerSlam this year is going to have, 50,000? So there's 150. And Royal Rumble, what did they? I've forgotten where they even were now.
Well, they've done stadiums in the past for Royal Rumble, and there's no reason why they couldn't in the future, and couldn't run this one stadium they're going to have access to.
But the point is, they'd have to, if they did it all in the same calendar year, you're in any market, you're talking about selling 200,000 tickets in the same place. I mean, let's come back to reality. But Indianapolis, it's centrally located. 2 hours from Louisville, 3 hours from Chicago, you get next to all the cities in Ohio, blah, 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 St. Louis. You can get there from a lot of the eastern half of the country fairly easily. But boy, howdy, that's a lot of heavy shows going into the same market like that, because apparently, did they say that it's the largest site fee or rights fee or whatever, largest payoff that they're ever getting for a WrestleMania from a locality?
I believe so. And it says a lot about whatever kind of investment Indianapolis is making in their future, what they think this will do to attract people and business, and the businesses that they think will build up between event 1 and the final event on the deal. And of course, pay-per-views also probably includes the Raw, the SmackDown, the NXT, the Hall of Fame, whatever it may be.
God, yeah.
Around that. So it's an interesting move for a town like Indianapolis to put down a lot of money and try to hope that this does something to, because again, you wouldn't really think of that as being the place to do this. So it's an interesting move from them. It'll be, it'll play out well or it'll lose them money, and WWE will be fine either way.
Well, and that's the thing is, and this isn't even taking into account any UFC shows that might go to Indianapolis, but the new ownership, again, they're like, boy, they're just flat out whores. Yes, pay us, we'll come there, pay us more money. They're jacking these places for rights fees. They are jacking the ticket prices up and getting it. And they've got leverage now because it's not even, when it was still Vince, even a publicly traded company, it was just the WWE by itself. And even though it was a $4 billion, $5 billion, whatever it was worth back in the old days, it is still, we call it, hey, Indianapolis, give us X million dollars and we'll do our show there and charge admission for all your citizens. And they're fuck you. But now these are major Hollywood muckety mucks, and they know every fucking body. And they're dealing in multiple hundreds of millions of dollars for shit. So, this is a goddamn blowout. And I have to think, what the fuck is another goddamn more major, and not even New York or Los Angeles? I'm pretty sure they don't need the help. I'm joshing. But, what is a more major city than Indianapolis going to try to counter with to get this business in the future?
And it's not just cities, it's countries. Australia's in the mix. France is in the mix. England wants WrestleMania.
And the mayor of London, who's related to the Khans and still wants WrestleMania.
Well, no, he's his own Khan. He's a Khan.
He's a Khan of his own?
That's right.
Well, anyway, speaking of these guys, here's another Khan at the top of the Raw program on June 24th. Pat McAfee was not there. And Michael Cole said, and I quote, I wouldn't read too much into that. So did you hear that Uncle Dave read a lot into it?
I saw something, and again, I didn't hear the original report, but I guess it's been intimated that Dave Meltzer, or at least reporting on his site, I don't know exactly how it happened, said that he was getting over the Wyatt 6 stuff, I believe, because they had just, when we were actually recording the last show, they had invaded Pat McAfee's show. That's how it went off the air.
Yeah, well, I saw a tweet where it was like, I think the words from Uncle Dave was, it's 100% storyline with the Wyatts.
Oh.
Yes. And point is, come to find out, Pat McAfee's father-in-law passed away. And he's not selling an angle. And that's where he lives, Indianapolis. But he was suddenly called away because it was not an expected thing that happened. But yeah, that's a lot of people were tweeting, Dave, what the fuck? Oh, yeah, selling the angle. He went so far to sell the angle, he killed his father-in-law. Anyway, so the show starts, and Cole is there, and they brought Miz out after a while, but I tuned that out. But they're doing the false pitch to last week to explain what happened when everybody was murdered. And all of a sudden, Drew McIntyre just walks right past the camera and into the ring. And this is what this show, we started in the penthouse and ended up in the outhouse. Immediately, the people are chanting CM Punk. And Drew calls for a replay. What happened last week? I can't do the accent. I sound more like Bill Dundee. What happened last week, mate? When he beat the shit out of Punk and carried him in the building and threw him down, and it looked like it almost broke his arm when he chucked him off his back. And Drew said, I prayed for this, and the big man made it happen. Me. And I'm loving this. Every time he does an interview, I want to listen to this shit. And it's not just the material, it's the delivery and the attitude. It's perfect. And he says he's done with all of you CM Punk chanters because he complained about everything that had been done to him. And all the fans still chant CM Punk. Well, you're dead to me. And then he told Punk, he said, I hope you're uncomfortable, in pain, and being fed through a straw. Oh, hold on one second, Brian. I must fan myself. I believe I'm getting the vapors.
Oh, will you stop it?
Oh. Oh. So then, and now I'm getting goosebumps. This is great. The bracelet that he pulled off, I meant to mention it. I don't remember if I did or not when we talked about it. I think I did, but he pulled a bracelet off, but it wasn't made a big deal at the time, and we didn't really know what it was. And I knew it was going to be something, but he held the bracelet up, and it says, it's one of the make your own with the little help me. Well, you have children and people who make things. What is that bracelet? Describe it for the people.
It's a friendship bracelet. Everyone knows what that is.
See?
It's a friendship bracelet.
That's a problem. I've never had a friendship. So anyway, he holds the friendship bracelet. It's got the little blocks that have the letters. And you string it, and it spells out names or things, and it says Larry and AJ. And he apparently, a fan, and this is a story he's telling, is great. A fan made this, almost like when they tore up the fucking Fantastics jackets, or the fan club president's cake got destroyed by the heel giving it to the babyface or whatever. But a fan made the bracelet, gave it to CM Punk. And he treasures it and wears it every time he leaves the house because he has his family with him. Yeah, Larry and AJ, your wife and your stupid dog. And the fans started chanting Larry. Larry, Larry. The WWE is getting people to chant for the boys' dogs. And AEW can't get people to chant anything except a refund. So now they're chanting Larry, Larry. And Drew enters the Money in the Bank match, and he intends on entering it. And he's going to win it while Punk is alone and miserable, and he puts the bracelet on. And he says, I'm not alone because I've got your wife and dog in my corner. Now this is some fucking Shakespeare. Right here, fella, don't you think?
McIntyre's been on a roll. We said he had to do something to Punk, as Punk's gotten him a few times. Somehow he did something and escalated things, and not too far. Now you can't wait to see what Punk's going to do, because he has to do something. It's going to be a nice, fun road, I think, between now and SummerSlam.
You just know he's going to do something about that. And see, that's what I said. They apparently are confident that they can put this match on at WrestleMania, or at SummerSlam, because that's why I said you wouldn't want to do something to Punk without having some type of clear date that he'll be cleared, that he could return, that you could actually promote the match. Too far out, it would wear off. But SummerSlam is what, 6 weeks or whatever the fuck it is. Which that's just lovely, because he just got beat up. He's got to get well from that too. But Drew McIntyre is my new verbal hero, because and I think he means all of this shit. I really do. I think he's entirely shooting, and he would probably, if he could get away with it, he could probably poison half these people and not think twice about it. And then they did the video of the Wyatts attacking, the slaughtering. Did we ever get an explanation as to the state or status of the rest of the miscellaneous bodies laying around from last week? Or was it, and then Gable, the one we got a good clear look at, made sure we knew who that was. He pulls up in an SUV, hiding his face from the camera with a goddamn Band-Aid on his head. And he's wrestling tonight and did quite a yeoman's job for himself, as I recall. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, what happened to the guy that had the R. Bud Dwyer blood splatter behind his head?
And, hold on.
Where's that guy?
Wait a minute.
No, don't do that. That's so distasteful.
No, but boom goes the Dynamite with R. Bud Dwyer, D-W-Y-E-R, I believe. Google it, kids.
Don't Google it, kids.
That reference will make Brian go to Hades or Mephistopheles or
Hades.
It'll at least have him have fleas. But anyway, so
but there was a guy with a blood splatter behind. I mean, that's my point. There was blood splatter. Where's everyone else? Did the entire production crew just heal up and come back the next week?
Yeah, well,
did anyone die?
The workman's comp laws are stricter where they were last week.
Where's the fire commissioner? There's smoke everywhere.
You know what? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to go to a WWE event and the Wyatt Six show up and the spooky smoke starts rolling in out of the graveyard and that steam and that smoke starts billowing across the floor and it rises 2 or 3 or 4 feet up, you better start holding your breath, because who knows whether that stuff is carcinogenic or even not a Johnny Carson fan, but a carcinogenic. Carcinogenic? You could get cancer from that badass shit. And if you do, then you need to get on a telephone and call this man.
Call Stephen P. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still to the rest.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and tea time movie listeners, you can be poisoned by this type of stuff if you take a big, strong huff of that stuff, when it wafts across the floor, when those Wyatts are approaching you, you will undoubtedly die of asshole cancer within the next 3 to 6 years. So right now, if this has already happened to you, or if you want to go to an event and huff some, then just call 877-50-STEVE or go to newlawoffice.com, because Stephen P. New can get you compensated. He will make them buy you a brand new pair of lungs. I'll tell you what, Stephen P. New, he's fixing to rip the lungs out of somebody for using them to lie too much, and he can easily get somebody to pay for you a new set of lungs if you have been poisoned. That's what happened back there at the gorilla position, was all those people, they passed out from breathing those fumes off of that spooky atmospheric smoke, and then they just bludgeoned them and exploded their brains all over the wall while they were already passed out, Brian. But anyway, if I don't know if Stephen can help you if zombies bludgeon your brains out, but if you huff some bad zombie smoke, or if you're damaged or harmed in any other way, folks, call 877-50-STEVE. You'll be glad you did. He answers the phone personally, I understand, from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's Eastern time.
All right, bad zombie smoke. Get even with Stephen, newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE.
I swear one of these entrepreneurs out in California now that listens to our program is going to have a strain they're selling at the dispensary called Bad Zombie Smoke.
Hey, speaking of, real quick before we get back to Raw, speaking of things that have recently taken off, the person had the trademark and copyright, or they're in the process of doing it. Have you been following the fascination just over the last couple of weeks with Hawk 2 girl? I don't know how. I'm not going to make the spitting sound, but almost like the Iron Sheik spitting.
Well, as Shiki used to say, Hakapatu. But yeah, I have seen this because it's been all over Twitter, and I saw it, unfortunately, and now can't unsee it, and it's been everywhere.
Well, I'll play some audio here.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't.
Here is from the Tim and D TV YouTube channel, the original, where this originally comes from. They're interviewing people on the street in Nashville. Let's go to this.
Pretty much.
Explain.
Oh, this is her friend, I guess. I'm waiting for the other girl to come over.
I can't. Go ahead. That guy's called her now.
Leave a message to your last. Leave a message to your last buddy.
I love you, Pookie, forever.
They must have been doing the right thing.
What can I say?
Okay.
Make the cobwebs off this thing. Are you supposed to this, bro?
All right, let me stop it there for a second. Any initial thoughts on the conversation happening here on the street, Nashville?
I swear I didn't hear you said where it was maybe beforehand, but I was going to say, are they in Tennessee or maybe Upper Alabama? As soon as I heard that girl talk.
They're in Nashville, and for the record, it appears the woman's name. I just saw it here before. I'll go looking for it.
Is she? What is she on Cameo now, or she's being booked on television?
Her name is Haley Welch.
Haley, is she related, you think, or maybe no relation? Tennessee, the Welches?
Every Welch in the state of Tennessee has to somehow be related, right?
You would almost think so, yes. Roy, he got around, but...
Well, she's a shooter, just like her Uncle Herb. Let's go back to this.
Roy Welch once had 2 wives at the same time in different cities in the same state and didn't even have any trouble over it.
Man, they really were making good money back then. Hold on, let's go back to Tuah girl.
I'm waiting. Come on. She'll be back. Like, I don't know how to answer those.
All right, now that he's talking to the other bubblehead here, let me, here comes the other girl back. Here she is.
What makes her wifey material?
That fat you got.
For real, turn around. Let me see.
You fucking lying. No, she got a bubble. Go ahead.
I'm trying to find the actual part because they're unbearable.
Jace, do your worst.
They're all unbearable. Hold on, let's see this.
Oh. This is for her. What? You know how to answer this. You got it.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
I don't get you. I think you gotta.
I'll be stopping there. So she's.
Spit on that thing. I mean, you can almost pinpoint her zip code with that accent. Go ahead.
Well, that's the thing I was going to ask you. When you first see this, it's so exaggerated. Do you think that's her real accent, or do you think she's putting anything on?
No, I think she's put on about fucking 8 double vodkas, but that's the only thing she's put on. No, that's the way she's talking to her friends.
And her advice for a good time is a sloppy blowjob, apparently.
Yes, that's a couple of bubble-headed white girls drunk down there on Broadway.
Well, apparently now she is taking advantage of the situation. I have an article from the New York Post.
Okay, now I knew this was coming now. Okay.
Viral Tuah girl sells more than $65,000 in merch in wake of not safe for work social media fame. A false rumor also went around that she had been fired from her job as a kindergarten teacher. That it turns out...
Wait, pump the brakes.
It turns out that's fake, and everyone should have known it was fake.
I was going to say, she was barely out of kindergarten.
Well, preschool, not kindergarten, preschool. But here's why you should have known it was fake. Here's the quote from the story. We have kids spitting on each other and everything else. They really look up to her as a role model and imitate the things that she does. We love her, but unfortunately, we cannot allow this type of behavior from one of our own faculty members. So the kids in the preschool saw the video and started spitting in the playground. That's when I was like, this is a fake story. How's anyone believing this? But here she is. Young girl, drunk night out.
She's made $65,000 on merchandise, though.
So far, she's apparently trying to...
Imagine if she was selling Hakpatuas. If she could make a lot more on Hakpatuas than she could on T-shirts, can't she?
Welch, who was initially rumored to have signed with Hollywood's United Talent Agency, is also working on trademarking her now infamous phrase. Maybe it is a phase. Her infamous phrase. So this may be something that turns her into a multimillionaire. Her late night honest ramble.
Getting drunk and admitting you spit on dicks has just made this young lady only in America. America, ladies and gentlemen, land of the free and the home of the stupid. Can you make those English words have never been put together in that order before? You realize that, don't you, Brian?
I do. You know, it's the accent too that I think really puts it over the top. Where, hold on, let's go back to this one more time.
I don't know how to answer this. You got it.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
You get me. She was looking for someone to be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah. All righty then.
Well, there it is, the blowjob break from Raw.
Where did that come from? Now here I was trying to. I don't have a hat, so I'm throwing I threw my pen down on the desk in frustration at you because I'm trying to praise something about the grappling.
No, sounds like she really knows her stuff. I would praise this too. I'm sure she gets a lot of praise.
I'm sure she gets a lot of business. But nevertheless, back to the Raw.
You gonna wear that hat? You gonna wear that shirt? Just look. Oh, you're a fan of dick spitting.
And then they'll do the union shirts like Dick Spitter's Locals 69. And
local dick spitters.
Hey, here you go. What's her name again? Did you lose her name?
Haley Welch.
She's going to change it to Hawk Tuah anyway. We're giving you free ideas here. Yeah, Dick Spitter's Local number 69.
Oh, she's made up one of those hats I see here, like for I had to have like the two candidates for president. You know, Cornette last. We've seen that one. Hawk Tuah 24. Spit on that thing. I miss Tennessee. But let's go back to Raw.
All right. So anyway, to recap, so far Drew McIntyre was brilliant. And then they VTR'd the Wyatt attack from last week, and then Gable pulled up in an SUV, and I've seen people goddamn selling a fucking tooth pulling worse than this guy was selling his attempted homicide last week. But besides for the Wyatt thing, and at least it was only in package form, Raw was going good, and here comes Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser. And and Kaiser does a promo beforehand, and he has got great mannerisms as a pompous, a snooty, arrogant heel. He's got the facials and the attitude, and he's very prissy and proper at the same time. He's blossoming here. He's blooming in front of our very eyes. His parents must have fucked in a flower bed because he's a blooming idiot. He's not. I wanted to use that line. And you know what? Again, I was saying now we go straight into Braun Breaker, and the show is moving. Normally you have to shoot it with time-lapse photography. It's so fucking long, but they're cooking here, right? And Braun was getting the crowd, even though he's a heel also, but he's the kind of heel that they're always going to cheer against another heel, a big tough badass, and Kaiser is the heel they're always going to boo against another heel because he's a pussy. Right? This is wrestling psychology. I'm not making this shit up. So, as Stacy said, that Kaiser looks like every member of Depeche Mode with the fucking hair and the whole. Apparently, you're not a Depeche Mode fan.
I mean, not really. Their early stuff is kind of all right, but then it gets really dark, and I'm not really into, like, heroin pop like that, whatever the fuck you want to call it, heroin synth pop. Not for me.
Well, Depeche Mode did that classic hit.
Which one?
Yeah, what?
Just Can't Get Enough?
Possibly.
That was one of their early songs, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
But no, but Kaiser, the one thing I did notice when he was coming out there, his trunks are like really, like, is he on the fucking swim team? Get a pair of real wrestling trunks. What is that?
No, he's signed up with the same talent agency that represents Speedos. And it's heat. It's heat.
I guess. So.
I think they ought to get smaller. I think he ought to be out there in a goddamn jockstrap. That would be. Oh my God. Oh, once they get on Netflix, I'm telling you.
The new Attitude Era, ladies and gentlemen.
A black leather jockstrap with fucking rhinestones. Anyway, so again, Kaiser the pussy heel, he goes the eyes, and that's how he gets the heat on Braun, or he cheats in some fashion. And Braun was selling here because to have a match, logically, you have to have a save, and if they're both heels, you got to have the sympathetic figure, and etc. And the people are going to like him, so boom. And he did the leap again where he jumps off the apron and clotheslines the guy over the announce desk who's standing in front of it, boom, and doesn't do it like diving, but does it leaping, and then his feet go over first. Did I describe that properly?
Yeah.
Where he catches him going over the side. I slow-mo'd that. It was perfect. I mean, there's safer things you could do. You could, go to sleep in bed, and it's not risky, but this was as safe as you can do this. He nailed that fucking thing. And he nailed his daggum deal again. The leaping Frankensteiner. So it was just a bobble with, Sheamus must have been sweating profusely under his armpits on the top rope last week or whenever. But nevertheless, boom, they had a good match. Kaiser he's being allowed to blossom now instead of being henchman number 3 in a fucking Batman episode, right? He's his own guy. And the problem was on a belly-to-belly from Steiner, Kaiser landed on his arm because he got over-rotated or over-rotated one or the other. It looked like he might have got over-rotated. And have we heard anything other than he was being checked out? He may have been had an arm injury.
I've not heard anything yet.
Have you talked to the medical staff up there?
We've exchanged messages.
Have you? So that you have reached out for comment to the executive director of medical terminology at the WWE.
I reached out. I don't know about comment. I had a splinter. I needed some help.
Well, in that case, we'll report back. But hopefully he's okay. Anyway, boom, boom, boom. As they say, Braun belly-to-bellied him over the top. Kaiser dodged the spear. Kaiser went for a kick and ran right into Sheamus's kick. He appeared. So now they must have a trap door close to the goddamn ring. But anyway, he went for the power bomb on Kaiser, and they timed it out so that Braun speared Sheamus out from under Kaiser when Kaiser was up to be power bombed on the desk. And then Braun ends up being the guy walking away and left in disgust. And this is great shit. This is some Dusty Rhodes level shit to get a fucking guy like Braun Breaker over. Did I say Steiner a few minutes ago?
You did.
Well, everybody knows what we're talking about here. But this was great too. I loved the whole thing. What did you think of the whole thing?
I thought it was really good. I've enjoyed the string of matches with Braun Breaker and a string of things. And again, Kaiser needs a pair of real trunks. I don't know what, it's like he's in a club in Germany. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but good match.
And I
like the promo. You talked a little bit about that. The promo was the most serious we've ever heard Kaiser before.
Yes. And he's doing a good job with it. But maybe, so what you're saying is he's missing something like the Alex Wright dangly leather jacket type of thing.
Alex
right?
is
and
right.
The dancing?
No, his trunks were not as skimpy as Kaiser Wilhelm's, or is that his name, or is it?
No,
Ludwig Kaiser. Ludwig.
He graduated. He used to be Kaiser Wilhelm when he was a stooge, but now he's Ludwig Kaiser. And speaking of ludicrous, we go to the Judgment Day Clubhouse where all of them are enjoying the gifts that Liv Morgan has given them, except for Damian Priest, who's giving them the advice in stern terms that they need to quit all this bullshit, playing games and video games, and tells Dom, drop that Liv Morgan, this is going to be trouble. Get rid of Braun Strongman or Brown Strowman, whatever his fucking name is.
Braun Strowman is indeed his name.
Well, and that's basically what we've got, the Judgment Day in the clubhouse and the whole thing with Liv, and that's going on. And but then hold on, go ahead. What are you saying?
No, maybe I'm jumping the shark because I don't know what else you're going to talk about with the Judgment Day and Liv. So
well, just that was the thing. There's more on that later, but that was where that was. And then they go back to Braun Breaker, who's in the back bitching at Adam Pearce about interference in his business, and Sami Zayn comes in and says, well, you want a match for the Intercontinental title? Well, you can have it anytime, any place, anywhere. And boy, if I was Sami Zayn and I was looking at Braun Breaker, I wouldn't say that. But he's a feisty young chap.
That should be a hell of a match.
Yes, it's going to be. And I'm looking forward to that. And he says Money in the Bank, and Sami agrees to it. So we've got that.
That should be a hell of a match. I'm actually really interested to see him work with Sami one-on-one. That should be good.
I'm wondering if they're going to put it on him.
Huh. I mean, we originally
might be interesting.
We originally said that he was our guy to beat Gunther. And as of now, him coming in as a heel and doing all this, it was the right move that they didn't do that. They put it on Sami. Sami's run has really been used to kind of elevate Gable. Bronson Reed's been in like 45 three-way matches, never won a goddamn thing. Right? He's always in a three-way match for like the Intercontinental title and he never wins.
Had 45 three-ways and never won a goddamn thing is the new equivalent of broke whatever and never won a goddamn or drew a goddamn dime.
Sami's been showing a little bit of a harder edge, or I don't know how you want to phrase it, putting the belt on Braun, and it may be a good thing for Sami to kind of freshen him up a little bit. And it doesn't hurt to have a guy like Braun hold a belt if he's not going to lose it for a while. It'll just add to the credibility of the belt and the credibility of Braun Breaker.
Well, I'll have you know, it was 40 minutes into the show. The only thing that I had been fast forwarding was commercials. But then that string was broken with Kerry Sane versus Baszler versus Lyric Valedictorian. But then we got to the 9 o'clock hour. And here came Liv Morgan and Zelina and Dominic. And Liv Morgan sounds like Moon Zappa, except Moon Zappa is bigger and tougher. And I skip anything to do with Liv Morgan just for my sanity this week because I was running low on time. Was there anything pithy that I missed?
I'm enjoying the Liv Morgan stuff with Dominic. It is very interesting. Not trying to read too much into it, but considering the things that happened with Vince McMahon and WWE's being involved in the case, I mean, they're a party, that they're doing some kind of thing where one of the female wrestlers is sending nude photos of herself to everyone and trying to seduce the wrestler to get what she wants. I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it. WWE has a history, at least under Vince McMahon, of taking real life shit and for their own perverse purposes, putting it on TV in some weird way. It is interesting. I get a kick out of it. I think Liv's doing a good job with it. And we'll see where it goes. Does it end up with her with Finn Balor? How does it end up? And Rhea Ripley has to come back. Rhea Ripley, again, pictures on social media, she just got married. So everyone knows she's married to some, not everyone, but a good portion of the fans know she's not married to Dom or going to be. Well,
because we didn't want to say anything, but, you know, now that has gone public, Rhea and I privately decided to end our relationship a few months ago. And
what?
I don't blame her for on the rebound, you know, leaping into the arms of Buddy.
Speaking of on the rebound, that was one of your first Netflix moments on the show when Zelina said that Liv's after Rhea's sloppy seconds, and then the audience started chanting sloppy seconds.
Oh, I missed that. But yeah, that probably needs to go on Netflix too, because they're usually more bleep happy on the WWE programming, especially on Fox, than they are on the AEW programming. Were they trying to bleep sloppy seconds, or was the guy asleep at the button?
He was sloppy. No, they didn't bleep.
He was running a sloppy second shop?
Yeah. Maybe he was watching the video of the girl talking in Nashville about her sloppy seconds. I really don't know.
Well, they were bleeping cucks over on TBS the other night.
What was that?
But not prick. Prick is okay. Cuck is not.
Why did they bleep cuck? I mean, because they kept doing it, and then I'm thinking, like, why are they calling him that if it's going to keep getting bleeped? But why would they think that would be bleeped?
Well, or do you think Matt and Nick really didn't like it? Oh, fuck that.
Did the guy at TBS think they were saying cock, not cuck?
Well, that's for a long time what I thought the insult was to begin with. I thought people just couldn't spell. But anyway, so
but I like the lip stuff, and there's no cock involved. Well, all right, Monday Night Raw. I'm pretty sure on Netflix we're gonna get fucking on Monday Night Raw at some point. But let's go back to Raw.
Well, that's better than every week right now when we get fucked by Monday Night Raw. No, but then Braun Strongman and Bronson Reed and Chad Gable had a three-way, and it's not as sexy or dirty as it sounds. They were wrestling. But when Gable came out, he cut the promo, and he was trying to explain on his way to the ring how he was, in the state he was in last week after the attack, and now he said, I was left for dead by monsters last week. Kind of almost tongue-in-cheek and blood, but I can't be killed. Look how resilient I am. And meanwhile, the people are whatting him to death. But why did they even do that if then he was going, no, you know what? I'm okay. Just a flesh wound. Nothing more to see her. Return to your homes. No reason to be mad at the zombies. I'm just fine. Why did they do it then? Are you speaking to me
no,
on
I don't have an
kind
answer.
Of mute or
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer why they did that zombie thing and then anyone ever appeared on the show ever again, including the zombies.
But anyway, I swear to God, they started this match, and in the first 30 seconds, old strong man almost fell out of the ring by accident. Did you see that?
I did.
Jeez. And finally, Gable is crouched on the top rope. He's climbed up on the top. He's going to do his moonsault, and they flap the ropes, and boom, he crotches himself. And he sits there for like the next 45 seconds, just waiting for this other shit to go on. And Brown power slams Bronson Reed on the floor. And then the Judgment Day attack Brown because it's no disqualification. Lazy booking shirts still on sale. And he fights back, but there's too many of them, and they beat him up in the entryway. And Gable is still on top, selling his crotch. And finally, he just gets up and moonsaults Bronson Reed 1, 2, 3. And then suddenly, the lights go out. Brian, would you like to comment on anything in that three-way match before we continue on?
No, I was almost hopeful that nothing would happen with the spooky people, but I was shit out of luck. I will say, as you go to review that part, right when it began, you literally saw the smoke begin in the corner of the ring. So they hit the smoke machine too early because now it looks completely preposterous. But anyway, go to the other preposterous part.
Well, to get to the heights of preposterosity, the smoke fills up the ring, and then the spooky girl crawls in, comes out from under the ring, and crawls in toward Gable. And Gable turns around and sees her and falls down on his ass in fear and rolls out. That was, that was his exit. At least they didn't involve him any further in this, but why would you fall down in fear? You get the fuck out of the ring. Anyway, it's a grown man and it's a tiny, deformed woman.
Kick her in the face. I mean,
kick her in the face while she's down there.
crawling.
Yes. I had my best success against this big 12-year-old bully. He used to live next door to me when I was about 9 by kicking her right in the face when she was down on her hands and knees like that. She didn't mess with me anymore.
You had a 12-year-old bully?
Yeah, she lived next door.
She beat you up? What was going on?
Well, and they cut my toe on her braces, too, I'll have you know, because I was barefoot. What are you laughing about?
Jim Cornette, the childhood years, is the most fascinating part of you, I think, and I think we could do a TV show out of it.
Well, I'll get back with you on my demands. But anyway, the girl crawls out of the ring and gives a box to Michael Cole. And now I should mention, and I've been reticent, or not reticent, but just lapse in not mentioning that they had extra security because what happened last week everywhere. Well, there was 2 security guards behind the commentary desk where Michael Cole was. And as the girl crawls out of the ring and goes over to Michael Cole to give him the box, you see the extra security guys are just bent over the fucking announce desk, unconscious, just face first, but still kind of on their feet. And just laying there. And Michael Cole, you've never heard Michael Cole say anything like, oh my God, who are you attacking these men? He just says, well, our security has been disabled or some shit by the, what the fuck? What is this, nerve gas? Is that not smug? 877-50-STEVE. If you are paralyzed by nerve gas whenever the Wyatt 6 show up, along with old little Annie Fanny Wyatt here, or whatever her name is.
I get gas from the nerve of them.
Oh.
She crawls in the ring slowly. He stands there the whole time. The ring's filling up with smoke. He stands there. You saw the smoke machine start in the corner of the ring. And then she just slowly walks out of the building. And she hands him this tape. No one stops her. We can get into the idea, where did she get a blank VHS cassette, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, they were in Indianapolis. You know, they had to drive all the way down here to get the tape and the player.
To Louisville.
I'm apparently 100 miles. I'm the closest guy that had both. But anyway, so and she walks to the back of the arena slowly. And well, ding, ding, the one guy is, the one note is being played on the piano. And so they go to the break and they come back.
It has to be so anticlimactic to be her and doing that. And then you're walking out. No one does anything. You know, there's no heat or anything. That's not
there were a bunch of people farting in her general direction.
Well, people
I'm
just
sure.
Like, stare. And then you walk out of there. It's not like coming back from a match like, yeah, all right.
What a great performance. You walked wonderfully and handed like a true pro.
Okay, I guess I did that. What's next? Yeah, how do you end that?
But well, that's what the thing is. We still don't. What the fuck? The box. That's the tease through the break, and they come back and they recap it again. And then Michael Cole is at the desk with new security guy. Well, we got new security, and there's 2 guys standing there. Well, conscious, but what happened to the 2 bodies? Why are they not still getting medical attention? How did they just switch these motherfuckers out? That's why I don't like this shit. It's preposterous. And then he opens the box. He gets out a VHS tape. And the label says, play me. And I saw that. It was a Vivid video release in 1982. And I don't think they can show much of that. Not till they get to Netflix. Comments?
82 is pretty early for Vivid. But other than that,
it was one of their earlier. It was a lower budget feature, so many of the girls had acne.
Yeah, not what I like on my wrestling show, and they're not doing anything to make me think otherwise.
Well, and then they had a girls' tag team match, playa.
But the problem is, after seeing something like that, you may be scared. You may say, you know, I've had enough of wrestling. It's time to pack it in for the night. It's time to get a good night's sleep. Forget about all this. Start over. And we know exactly who they could talk to do that.
Well, I was thinking you were going to mention something like that because I was just thinking the same thing. Our friends at Helix. Because if you want to lay down for any reason, whether it's sleeping or napping or TV watching, or if you like to eat in bed, or if you like to bump uglies and do the nasty dance, whatever you want, if you're just laying there just pissed off at the world and refusing to get up and join society. Whatever reason that you want to lay flat on your back, they got something to fix you up. And whether you're fat or skinny or young or old or small or large or in what, they've even got mattresses for different religions, Brian.
That is not true. Let's just stress
they
this
certainly
is not true.
do. They want everybody to have one of these mattresses. They've included everybody in the tent.
They have a mattress for everyone, and of course, it's always based on how you like to sleep. Firm,
It certainly
soft,
is.
whatever it may be.
And as a matter of fact, whether you want to be hard at night, whether you want to be soft at night, when you lay down to sleep, when you want to be held like in a cloud, or you want to be laying like you're on a frying pan, they got everything from one place to another and all points in between. Brian, did you know that for the people who like extra support for their spine, the firm type of support, they've got a hybrid design with individually wrapped steel coils in the base with premium foam layers on top.
Wow.
So you've got foam on top of steel. And that's not going to blow away or be subject to any type of erosion. That's quality construction there. Would you like to sleep on the steel coils?
I would like to continue to sleep on my comfortable Helix sleep mattress. We have a few here in the house. We love them. You will love them too,
Yes.
which is what Jim has meant to have said, or was meaning to have said.
Well,
I can't speak either. God damn it.
Who doesn't want to sleep on the support of good old American steel? I think they get these coils from Pittsburgh. This is not just a blown-up Ziploc bag, and it's certainly not just a bag of fluff and straw. It's quality construction. They've got their own factories, people wailing away with hammers and chisels to make each one of these mattresses for the folks, and they come to your door in a box delivered no matter what size or type that you prefer or that you buy. They will all come in a box that you can just unbox and it goes poof, and there you go. And they got one for everybody, the big and the small, the short and the tall, and the whole 9 yards. And right now, are you aware of this, Brian? Have you heard about the news on this?
Wow, it's incredible.
Well, that's exactly what I thought. I don't know how they do it. 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows. That's what it says right here. Usually it's 15 or it's 20. Some people made 25, but no, Helix 30% off all the mattress orders, up to 30%, I should say. Now, if you just buy a pillowcase, they're probably not going to give you 30% off. But Helix is offering up to 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows. If you go to helixsleep.com, HELIX, sleep.com/JCE, then you're going to get that deal. The free pillows and the free mattress orders, or free mattress orders. The free,
whatever those are.
The free pillows and
there's
the
no free mattress order. For the record, no free mattresses.
No, I'm trying to say the free pillows and the 30% off all the mattress orders.
That's right.
For fuck's sake is what I'm trying to say.
For sleep's sake, get a good night's sleep.
Well, you can fuck as well now. And I'll tell you what, especially if you have problems with your knees, it's better to have sexual relations on a mattress instead of on the floor. That's just a friendly tip. From the Learning Tree, Jim Cornette.
All right, well, whether you fuck or sleep, go balls deep with Helix Sleep. One more time, Jim, what's that promo code?
HelixSleep.com/JCE is what it is, and that's what George Carlin said. You should just have a sign over the motel flashing sleep, fuck, sleep, fuck, sleep and fuck.
Well, we don't discriminate. Whatever you need, Helix Sleep.
Or fuck. Well, Brian, finally, we had got to the 10 o'clock hour. It had slowed down considerably. But we had Damian Priest doing an in-ring promo with Seth Franklin Rollins coming out. And I have to admit to you that I did not watch this because they talked and sang and got sang to and etc. for 12 minutes until Gunther started walking out, and then I started watching. But did I miss anything in that 12 minutes? Because it looked like a lot of long WWE style dramatic renditions.
And that's kind of what it was. And to Rollins' credit, he survives that stuff better than most, mainly because he can at any point just close his eyes and fans will start singing. I mean, it's a wonderful way to get around a promo if you like forget a word or something. Just close your eyes and let them sing. Priest is just not doing it for me at all on the mic. He doesn't feel like a world champion. Every time he talks, I just see it less and less.
You think he needs some kind of confidence to kick it in.
Just something needs to be done differently, and I don't know exactly what. And you throw Gunther in this now. I mean, Gunther better win that fucking title. This is not like, I think Drew should win. Gunther, I mean, that's a world champion. And, Rollins is coming off an injury, and the injury looked bad. I mean, or at least the after effects that we saw looked bad. Unless you're going to try to use this to keep everything on Priest and make him, again, I don't know. I think they got to find something else to do with Priest. He's the world champion. I'm saying you got to find something else to do with Priest. You got to find something else to do with Priest right now. I'm saying it. It's ridiculous. He's the world champion.
What about working in a soup kitchen? Would that be suitable in your eyes?
No, I think he's better than soup, but...
Oh, God, what about nuts?
What kind of nuts? What kind of nuts?
Well, pistachios.
Yeah, I could do without pistachio. A good walnut, though?
A good walnut, then. Let me ask you this. You know what you got? You know what you've got when you got nuts on the wall?
What's that?
Walnuts. You know what you got when you got nuts on your chest?
Chestnuts.
Chestnuts. You know what you got when you got nuts on your chin?
What's that?
A dick in your mouth. But nevertheless.
Tuah!
Hakapatui. Why
doesn't the estate of the Iron Sheik step up right now and say, wait a minute, girl?
Hey, it could be known as the Great Spitting Wars. I spit on you. I spit on you.
One spit over America, one spit over a dick. Whose side do you take?
Dick spitting and flag spitting. All right, nevertheless. So apparently, I will sum up what happened with Priest and Seth in 12 minutes. Their match at Money in the Bank, if Priest loses, he has to leave the Judgment Day. And Priest made the comment that the Judgment Day needs me more than I need them. Ooh. And then Gunther came out. And Gunther basically said, I understand a lot is on the line. Good luck to you both. I cannot wait. Now I sound like a Super Mario.
No, this is pretty good. You're doing a pretty good Gunther, I have to say. You were until you decided to become Mario.
Well, yeah. I can't wait to see the match. May the better man win.
Now it's Bela Lugosi.
Now I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But no mistake. It's SummerSlam. Now I sound like Zero Mostel. The better of you will be lesser to me. And he left. Yeah, so, Gunther better win this thing at SummerSlam. I don't care who else is...
And you know what? I said they got to do something else with Priest. I'm sorry to say for him that losing the belt may be part of it, but the bigger thing is what they hit on there. We're at the point he has to be away from Judgment Day probably to really be something more.
But nevertheless, unfortunately, they found a VHS machine. And it was Uncle Howdy, who we are led to believe by the backstage sources is Bo Dallas, right? And he was interviewing Bo Dallas with the spooky video and the altered voices and the various altered states of mind that writes this stuff. And... yeah, Bo Dallas did a good promo. There, without all the supernatural, hocus pocus, mumbo jumbo, the production effects, the smoke machines and everything.
They got their grandfather's acting ability.
Yeah, what would it have been like if he came out and did this promo like a human being? How did it feel when your brother died like the most important thing in my life was taken away? I'm not exploiting his legacy. I always wanted to be my brother. I looked up to him. I idolized him, and I want to carry it on. We were going to rule together. And now, he's gone. They wanted to forget about all of us. Well, we made them all remember, but as a human fucking being. Because I don't, and do they need the post-production to put that together? It looks like that some of them, as you said, got Blackjack's promo ability, but.
Like, I was dubbing tapes, like, all the time. You know what I mean? That's like, it's weird to watch, like, them pretend to have a dub tape in 2024. Because what is this? And again, there's always production value. It's really well done. He's a good actor like his brother. And like I said, his grandfather, Blackjack Mulligan, could make up a story and have you believe it in 2 seconds. And he's got it. He can act. And these are really creative little horror flick things that go nowhere. They never go anywhere. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the world we're stuck in now.
Well, and
it doesn't explain how everyone got murdered last week.
Well, of course not, because how can you? But there's a point you just made. Is this going to go somewhere, or is it going to be like the other Bray Wyatt stuff where it was spookiness that you never got a resolution of whatever the fuck it was, so you figured out what everything meant all along, right? The end of the movie.
Once these 5 people start squashing wrestlers that the fans care about, it's going to be a problem again. Because that's what it is. No one could. Bray Wyatt killed babyfaces dead. With the exception of LA Knight, who, worked.
Who actually, no, honestly, he killed LA Knight so dead that the fans felt sorry for him and resurrected him.
You know what? That is true. So I remember us thinking, like, what the hell is going on here? Why are they booking this? And it backfired.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, the other thing is the height of, if you could say that, the height of the Bray Wyatt stuff was during a pandemic where they were doing those cinematic. Remember him and Braun Strowman in the swamp and he drowned him at the end? And then, of course, he had his match where he was burned.
He was burned.
It was the one with him and Cena where,
Fire and water. What's next? He's blown away in a tornado.
That's the thing I worry about. There are people who think it's cool. And look, I love David Lynch. I think I love Twin Peaks. But at a certain point, you're like, man, this is not.
I'd rather see Becky Lynch's Twin Peaks, but
that came out of nowhere. We're not even talking about Becky Lynch. But my point is, I like Twin Peaks. Even I can admit it's still cool when he brought it back, but it went nowhere. It goes nowhere. It just goes nowhere. And that's fine if you're a filmmaker making your little films. And I'm not saying little films to disparage David Lynch.
Making your little films over there, David Lynch.
But this is a segment in a professional wrestling show. This is not a standalone show. So I just feel like wrestling should kind of have one uniform universe that exists in. It should be a universe where these crazy people and these crazy things happen in a world of kayfabe, which means everything that's happening in the real world is happening here. It's just all of this is supposed to be real too. As opposed to, now it's time for the science fiction portion of the show. Let's start the smoke machines. Smoke machine. I mean, God damn it, they're using smoke machines.
Well,
it's like a bar mitzvah.
That's what I was saying earlier. If it can't possibly happen by the laws that we live under of gravity and physics and, time and space, then just don't do it. Anyway, that's what happened. That Karrion Kross wrestled Kofi Kingston. They recapped Jacob Fatu's debut. Ahoo! Werewolves of Samoa. He's a hairy-handed gent,
Your werewolf stinks.
Well, have you ever tried to give a werewolf a bath? Anything about that? That's another thing for you to think about. And then we're going to get a 6-man tag match at Money in the Bank. Coincidentally and conveniently, as I mentioned on the previous program, Orton and Owens got bumped out of their 3-way triple threat whatevers to get in the Money in the Bank. So, well, they'll just have to team with the world champion Cody against the Bloodline. But which 3 of the Bloodline? They had a picture of all of them.
If I had to guess, it has to be Jacob Fatu, Solo, and Tama Tonga. I think Tonga Loa is the one that probably would do best in a suit on the outside of the ring for that match.
Or because this is Money in the Bank and it's a 6-man, and where are they from? This what country this time?
They're from
Peru?
Tonga, and some of them are from Samoa.
No, I'm saying where is the show emanating from? Is what I'm saying to you.
Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank will be coming to you from July 6, 2024. God damn it. Money in the Bank will be coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the Scotty Bank Arena.
I'm wondering if they don't have the Tongas and Solo, and they do a job in the end to make the people happy in that respect to the baby faces, and then Jacob Fatu goes just teetotal crazy and beats up some more people and does that springboard moonsault or another one of his repertoire of ridiculously physical athletic things.
How long would you wait before he actually wrestles a match?
Well, we got to hear the story first, really, of not why he's been brought in, but I mean, his backstory a little bit and what Solo brought him here to do, and what he's not the right-hand man. He's not the infamous guy. What is he going to be? Establish his position, who he reports to, etc., and then let him be explosive a little while longer before we see him wrestle. That's what I do. But I mean, he's impressive no matter what. And then we had the tag team title match with The Miz and Truth against Finn and JD. And Brown Strongman interfered and chased Carlito and Dominic out of the place. And a bunch of more shit happened. And Liv interfered and cranked old Truth's neck over the ropes. And Finn hit his finish on him, 1, 2, 3, and they're the new champions. So Liv has helped Finn and JD win the tag, and JD McFunco is now a tag team champion.
All right. He's good in the ring. I like him.
He's good in the ring, but I'm just saying, when people are presented as flunkies, i.e. Ludwig Kaiser, you've got to concentrate a little bit on them as individuals. And poor JD has been the flunkiest of the flunkies. He had to grovel to get into this fucking group, right?
Well, let's see if things are about to change. Because if Priest is going to leave, maybe, potentially. If Liv Morgan's going to be involved somehow, replacing Rhea until Rhea comes back. Beyond getting married, she's also injured. That's really why she's gone. We'll see.
I think they need to get JD some monkey hormones or something. Or get him a shin extension. Make him about 6 inches taller, 40 pounds heavier. Maybe they could take some of the weight from his head and put it into his chest and shoulders.
Will you leave the guy alone? The guy's doing a good job.
Well, that's what he ought to be doing his job. No, I'm kidding. He's working hard.
All right.
He's working very hard. New tag team champions, that was Raw. Boy, was it. It was actually pretty goddamn rough when it went in.
Well, that was Raw. Let me write down the time of death here. Well, let's move on here with this show, Jim. And before we get to anything else, I want to bring up to you a story that's been making the rounds. Apparently, Jim Ross recently had some comments about Shane McMahon. That he'd been calling around asking around about AEW. We have a quote here from a Sports Illustrated column by Justin Barrasso, a.k.a. The Safe Landing. Tony Khan, I heard the rumor he might be interested. I've never met Shane, but we have a lot of mutual friends. I have a lot of respect for him as an executive And as a professional wrestler, Shane is always welcome in AEW. What are your thoughts? We've talked about in the past, way back, again, before all the scandals and after it. Could you ever see Shane ending up in AEW? And it was always a ridiculous concept. Any thoughts on it now?
Yes, it's still a ridiculous concept. And with the Jim Ross comments, and I have not heard exactly what he said. I haven't heard the clip. I would need to hear the tone of voice or whatever, or because I would think that maybe JR would have been, well, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, strange things have happened, that type of thing, just to not bury Tony and the company that he's working for. But at the same point, no, Shane, at 50 whatever years old he is now, the way he went out last time, if he's going to wrestle, it would be for the WWE, because still, without...
If they would have him. That's not
if they would have
a foregone conclusion.
And say, well, no, but see, that's the thing. If they wouldn't have him, he's not going to do it. If they wouldn't have him, he's not going to do it for another company, for a smaller company. I mean, Shane was I've always said I like Shane, and I've talked to Shane more just, on purpose than most of the rest of the McMahon family. But he always had the same outlook kind of as Vince, as they were the major league. And he was even more than, WCW at the height still to Shane was not comparable to the WWF. So it's not like he's going to say, I've got to have one more match and redeem myself, so I'll call Tony Khan and go to AEW. He's a multi-millionaire. He's got a bunch of kids, nice family. And no, he would think it was a step down for him. It would be something that what?
Tony said executive too. So again, if Tony was making an offer for Shane, it wouldn't maybe just be an on-air character. Maybe it would be something behind the scenes.
No. Again, because Shane McMahon does not need to be an executive of a wrestling company owned and operated by a fucking son of another billionaire that's goofier than a pet coon. No, he would not want to do that, especially at this time of his life. And to get into all of that drama and ha-ha. When he was 30 and he was in every department in Titan, that's because he thought he was going to take over the company one day. And that didn't happen, but he doesn't have a burning need to go work in somebody else's wrestling company. And far from needing the money, it would probably be a minor annoyance to him to have to add it to his goddamn income tax. Again, I appreciate that people, take JR's word for, there must be something to it. I think he was probably being nice. If somebody wants to read the quote to me, but, and somebody said that Shane had called AEW talent. No, I'm sure he talks to some of those guys, potentially maybe Bryan Danielson or Edge or one or two other guys that actually worked in that company. Maybe Jericho. Maybe Jericho fucking pitched it and Shane was trying to blow him off. And I ought to do that. So, boy, yeah.
Maybe Shane realized, how do I get back to WWE? I know. I'll leak this.
No, I think that would work against him, even with the new regime. They probably say, well, fucking let him. Last time he went out on a stretcher on one of our big shows. But no, I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. I will fucking jump up and down and scream like a chicken and admit I'm an idiot if Shane McMahon shows up in AEW. How's that?
I'm reading some more of the Tony Khan quotes in this article. This is why you can't take him seriously. If Shaq is ever interested in returning to the ring, Khan shared that he has a home in AEW. Here's a quote. I would love to have Shaq back in AEW anytime he's available. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time, and he's extremely talented on air in a number of roles. Shaq is also the greatest celebrity wrestler in wrestling history.
Oh my God.
But what people didn't see is what happened backstage. When he wrestled in AEW, he went around backstage and showed respect to all the wrestlers. He told the wrestlers, I want to make you look good. It was unbelievable. That's the most recognizable athlete on the planet doing that. Well, he only worked with a couple of people and then he took an ambulance ride to nowhere. The greatest celebrity wrestler in wrestling history.
I mean, well, everything to Tony is great. He just had a great conversation again with David Zaslav and his team, and it's great, productive, and everything's great. Everybody's great. And I'm sure that he believes that as long as somebody is not pointing a finger in his face saying, you stupid motherfucker. Maybe that wouldn't be great. That's why he feared for his life from CM Punk. But otherwise, do you think, I mean, privately, does he know that many things aren't great, or is he just completely delusional or putting on a not very convincing front because we know everything can't be great for anybody?
And that's what it is. Everything's great. Nothing is ever wrong. Nothing is ever bad. They're never in the middle of a bad run. Everything's great. Everything around them is great. Great conversations. How can you trust someone who says that about everything no matter what? It just sounds like they want to make sure that's what people believe. And I think there's been a lot of that since the beginning of AEW, specifically with certain people out there, where AEW forged relationships to make sure that what they want people to believe was what was disseminated. And we'll see how things work out in the next year. But back to Raw.
No, we're done with Raw.
Oh, thank God.
Raw's over.
Well, Jim, Raw is over. And after Raw, you may want to hear some tunes. You may want to go for a run and listen to some tunes. You may want to, I mean, it's late at night. I don't know what, it's good to work out at night. You get a good workout.
You know what? You can get shot by the cops running that late at night, can't you?
Well, I don't know. It depends on where you are. But my point is, in music, the passions enjoy themselves. Enjoy music for yourself with the right earbud, and we know where you can get it.
I know where you can go and get it. I can tell you where to go right now. But I don't know what he's talking about with the passions, folks. But the music that we all listen to, the soundtrack of our lives, all the tunes that have a fond place in our heart, they can be right in your ear, just like that. They can have an even fonder place in your ear with the Raycon everyday wireless earbuds, and they've been upgraded. They've been improved. They have a paint up, clean up, fix up. They've been remodeled. And now you also get active ergonomic design. I think that means that it changes shapes on a regular basis. It'll squirm around like a caterpillar in your ear. It also, it's a kind of a tickly feeling. And you also get multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with two devices at once, except in the states where that has been outlawed. And but if you're in a state where, you know, dog fighting is legal, chances are you can pair with two devices at the same time also. And they've got active noise cancellation. Boom, instantly all the noise will cease. You'll be deaf as a doornail. And that's handy when your mother-in-law has come to visit. The 32-hour battery life. Brian, how can you stay awake listening to anything for 32 hours? What are you, the Labor Day telethon?
I'm on those Tony Khan vitamins. I could stay awake for a week.
Well, then you're going to have to recharge because they can only run for 32 hours. And the ergonomic design that I talked about is comfortably able to fit the widest range of ears. And that's going to be handy for one of the feather-bottom cousins because come to find out his ears are 18 inches apart.
What?
It's the damnedest thing you've ever seen. They measured it. They took a caliper and they measured. What are you giggling at? The poor guy, I'm telling you, he's had problems because his ears are 18 inches apart, and that's not around the head. That's straight through from ear to ear. And it's the damnedest thing you've ever... And until he was 16 years old, he couldn't hold his head up straight. His neck wasn't big enough, poor thing. But apparently, This ergonomic design fits the widest range of ears, so even ones 18 inches apart, it still works. And you've got customizable sound styles and a weatherproof, and they're weatherproof, and or is what it says, sweat resistant. I don't know, if you sweat more than it rains, you may have a problem. But just try not to, don't flush them. Don't flush these things, because that might fuck them up. But anyway, if you've ever been wanting to check out Raycons, folks, there truly is no better time than right now or in the immediate future, if that's all we can get out of you. Because these upgraded models, they're going to blow you. And it sounds like you've got a symphony orchestra stuck in your head. So watch out for that snare drum, because that thing will make you shit your pants. But you're going to ask yourself, why didn't check these things out sooner? Especially after you hear about their 30-day happiness guarantee. When you buy a set of these Raycon everyday wireless earbuds, you're guaranteed to be happy for 30 days, or they'll come down here and they'll tickle your taint for you until you start laughing. That's a guarantee you'll get in writing.
No, it's certainly not a guarantee you'll get, and certainly not in writing.
It's the taint tickling clause.
There's no clause.
Well, they have everything about it at buyraycon.com. That's BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com. You can go there, /JCE, by the way. You can go there and you can get all the information. It tells about the taint tickling, and you get to pick a general age and, physical description, but they reserve the right to use one of the substitute ticklers. But if you go to buyraycon.com /JCE today, you're going to get 15% off your Raycon order and free shipping. Tickling may be optional. You might have to tip for the tickling. But you're going to get 15% off anything you order at buyraycon.com and free shipping if you go to buyraycon.com and use that /code, secret fucking knock, whatever it is, JCE. That's what you need to do. Are you speaking to me?
On mute, I indeed was. Buyraycon.com /JCE. Well, Raw went a long while, longer than we thought, but that was the easy part. AEW Dynamite, in the midst of a very interesting run of shows, aired last night on TBS as we are recording. And they had a good house for them. I think it was they announced that over 4,000 tickets distributed, but there were some reports that may have been a little bit less. But
I think some of the people were balling those tickets up and throwing them in the ring at the end of the show.
Apparently free tickets were offered to employees of local sporting teams as well. But Jim, AEW Dynamite in Buffalo, New York.
Also given out at daycare centers and every Speedway gas station. You said a run of very interesting shows, and we'll talk about one of these matches in excruciating detail later on, but especially just as a whole, what the fuck is going on? Is it possible for a television show to have a nervous breakdown? It looks like that's what's happening. They've lost complete control of what the fuck is even going on this thing, haven't they?
I mean, yes, they've lost sight of what's good and what's not completely. You could argue when they've had it and who had what. But it appears to be company-wide right now. There are people who say, oh, they don't have any stories, All their stories just aren't working and aren't good, and the reactions are bad, and the booking is bad, and the formatting sucks. And just nothing, nobody you like is doing anything you want them to do.
There you go. That's a good one. They were in Buffalo, which is apparently the hometown of Danny Garcia, and they lead, no introduction, no open, straight into MJF's entrance because they think, well, let's desperately cling on to the big bangers with another big banger. And as soon as MJF gets in the ring and says, Buffalo, New York, boom, he's interrupted by Danny Garcia's music. And yes, I know Danny Garcia. I know because they told me Danny Garcia is from Buffalo, New York. He's a hometown guy.
Daniel Garcia, just to make sure people know it's not the production partner, ex-wife of The Rock.
Well, MJF was calling him Danny.
Well, if MJF does it, I guess you could do it.
I think he's got a better chance of marrying The Rock than he does of fucking drawing money as a main eventer. So let's keep our options open.
Well, she's jacked, but anyway.
Well, I know it looks like she could kick the fucking shit out of the other Danny Garcia. But they should have let MJF hook them by speaking to them first, because now we already don't care. Because anybody from Buffalo or anybody not from Buffalo don't give a fuck that he's a hometown guy in Buffalo. And most of the people in Buffalo don't even know who the fuck he is. We got 4,000 people or less in this building that know who, but let MJF talk a little bit and hook them. And then he comes out, but then they have a love fest for a while where Garcia thanks MJF for saving him last week, and he's going to say nice things about MJF, and they're both standing there in leather jackets. They look like the board of directors of an S&M club. And Garcia does a decent promo, but it took a while. But it was talking about, I say a decent promo because he was well-spoken, but he talked about how MJF motivated him to not be a pillar, but a backbone, a workhorse, and a foundation. When did MJF, the epitome of, I only wrestle when I make a lot of money and fucking the rest of these assholes wrestle every week? And that was his gimmick. I'm not saying that that was his attitude behind the scenes. He inspired this guy to become a workhorse. And the MJF responded with energy. And he said, he's got the energy, but he's got to say this shit that's not MJF. He said, thank you back. And he shook Garcia's hand, and he did a promo trying to get this guy over that he's not. He's not that over, and he's not going to get that over. It devalues MJF's word to have to say these ridiculously over-the-top good things about fucking Daniel Garcia. Including, he said, nobody in the back deserves my spot, but one guy is getting closer. And he didn't say, Danny, you remind me of myself. God damn it, what a fucking moot-faced fucking guy with very little personality and a standard fucking body. What?
If you squinted, because they were both wearing their black leather outfits, I don't know why they both were wearing the same kind of outfit out there. I don't know.
Yes.
But if you squinted, it looked like Andrew Dice Clay and George Michael were having a big meeting in 1988.
Well, which one was going to be the first one to go to the public restroom?
George Michael. Historically and chronologically, George Michael would be the answer.
Well, then hopefully MJF then becomes Dice. But this took forever. And as I said, I think MJF is blowing his credibility by putting this obvious mid-card kid at this point. Maybe he'll get great, whatever. But he's putting him over like he's Steve Austin. It was too overboard. Unless it's revealed that it's to butter him up so he can stab him in the back or fuck him in the ass or become a heel again. And then MJF offered Garcia the match with him at Wembley Stadium out of nowhere. I think I ought to wrestle you at the stadium. And people are kind of like, what? Huh?
For the people who think it's nuts, I'm wrestling Hechachero on pay-per-view. Watch this.
Yes. This is even wackier. But as soon as he says that, they play Ostrich's music. Here comes Willie Boy. And now it's three baby faces in the ring, challenging each other to this and that. And then Will turns his back on MJF and talks to Garcia and said, I heard you want a shot at the Intercontinental title, bruv. And then he puts Garcia over, and it's like this guy paid these people to come out and do cameos for him, putting him over, right? And all elite Scooby-Doo. But he put Garcia over and he told Garcia, you can have a title shot next week on TV for the Intercontinental title. But even better, bruv, how about I put the world title on the line next week as well? Now, I don't know whether I don't know how what he was supposed to say.
No, he meant what he said. If he wins the world title at the pay-per-view, it'll be on the line.
No, but he didn't say if he wins it. That's the thing. He said, how about if I put the world title? The announcers had to come back afterwards and go, well, now that's potentially if he wins it. But he offered to put a title up next week on TV that he doesn't win until Sunday. If you took him at the words that were coming out of his mouth.
I like this as a new gimmick. He should just offer up all sorts of things he can't deliver.
And the fans didn't really react because they're like, what the fuck? He doesn't have that title. And then Will and Garcia shake hands, and Will walks out without speaking to MJF, and MJF looks unhappy. And he just, the announcers are using the word, he was upstaged by all this. He's not used to that. And MJF just curtly and abruptly tells old Danny, you concentrate on your title match next week. That's the most important thing. And he leaves. And then we go to the back, and here's another babyface to be heard from. Swerve Strickland, the world champion, who with Nana is watching the monitor. And he cuts promo on Ostrich for putting up a title that he hadn't won yet. And he's a babyface. These are 4 babyfaces. And MJF still may be the most popular guy. If not, it's Ostrich. Swerve was short time ago. And I don't think Garcia, but
when's that War Games match? It's like an afterthought. I forgot all about it. As you're talking about, I'm like, man, all the babyfaces are feuding with each other because all the heels are feuding with luchadors. And I was like, well, no, not all the heels. The Elite, they're not feuding with luchadors.
Well, but no, that's on free TV next month, isn't it?
It is, yeah, I guess so.
Yes. That'll be a completely different thing. But anyway, so all these baby faces are fighting over shit, and the 2 guys that are wrestling for the world title are going to be a tag team tonight on the show against 2 job guys. All righty. Any final? Yes.
A couple final things. One, it had moments that were okay. But AEW, over the last few years, has spent a lot of time trying to elevate Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia.
A lot of time.
And I personally think Garcia is a lot further along than Wheeler Yuta.
Oh, well, God, yes. I mean, Mother Nature beat him all to that. It looks like a grown fucking adult.
You see, you had to say something, and now you got me.
Well, I'm just telling you.
But Garcia's, again, they're spending a lot of TV time to get this guy over. MJF, was doing stuff with Cody. Jericho latched onto him forever. The CM Punk stuff's the best stuff in AEW history. Little things here and there. Darby, Pillman Jr. Ever since that moment where they started putting it out there, before it even happened, that he should be a babyface, he needs to be a babyface, it's like he's constantly doing stuff on TV. You're like, why? Just why? Who didn't say no? Who didn't say, let's rethink this? It's just constantly mixing with the wrong people and using MJF's credibility and capital to try to get them over, and then it doesn't happen because the booking falls apart. Look at Jay White, case in point. Jay White pinned MJF.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That's right.
Forgot about it because it didn't do anything for anyone except hurt MJF a little bit more, another chink in the armor. He's going for a new thing right now. You got to think this is the setup a heel turn, because otherwise,
one would hope.
What the hell would this be? But that means we have to wait till Wembley maybe for the heel turn. But we'll see what happens.
Well, no, they can't have MJF and Garcia at Wembley.
No, it has to be MJF and Ospreay.
Yes, so I think he has to pretty much fuck Garcia next week.
But there's the problem. There's trying to make someone, and there's trying to make the wrong person. And I'm not a Daniel Garcia. I hate the dance. I think it's stupid, and it looks like he toned it down a little bit. Now he just teases lifting the arms up.
He just didn't want to do it in front of his mother. But
the personality, the charisma, the promo, and then just what he looks like in the ring versus a lot of the other wrestlers. I'm not saying it can't happen in the future, but I'm saying now's not the time. And you need to spend every second of TV time you can taking advantage of what's working and finding the right guys to elevate. And they spent, 15 minutes here with the two top stars in the company right now. The biggest star in the company, MJF, and the emerging talent who has not really fucked up yet. And the booking's kind of not screwed him up too much yet, Will Ospreay. You have them trying to get him over. It seems like if you really wanted to try to justify doing it, you could, but it's poorly thought out and it shouldn't be done. Not now. That's what.
And possibly not ever. And then, speaking of things that should never, ever be done again, the 6-man tag team match. And Brian.
Oh, thank God you watched this.
This was, I wasn't gonna, but I ended up being captivated by the introduction of it. And there you have it. And I've gone back and watched it. We may go back here and watch it again in a minute. Because I will set it up for the people who may not have seen this. I never do this, but I'm going to endorse you. Get a tape, get a DVD, get a stream. If you've got it on your DVR, watch the AEW program. And this is, again, June 26th out of Buffalo. The BBC, Moxley and Claudio and Wheeler Useless against their opponents. Because this was the example of the biggest bunch of amateur hour bullshit that I have ever seen on a big budget television program. I've seen worse shit, but it's been in fucking rec centers and high school gyms and on videotape from cow pastures. But this was the biggest conglomeration of reasons why that they are a floundering fucking ship that I've ever seen. From booking to announcing to actual work in the ring, this was the epitome of dreck on all parts. Nothing about this was any good. It was humorous in its goddamn badness. And I don't know what they're looking at that some more than one person in this match was not reprimanded, if not taken off the booking sheets and their usefulness rethought. But I get just they have no standards in anything works here. This was embarrassing to watch if you were a halfway dedicated wrestling fan. What were your thoughts before we talk about this thing? Just overall, it was a. What are they looking at?
It was a weird night because I was planning on watching Dynamite this morning because the Mets versus Yankees, which is a big game, the Subway Series was last night, and the Mets are playing great. There was a big rain delay. We had a big storm in this area, and I got to watch a lot of Dynamite because of the rain delay. I didn't see the first few moments of the walk to the ring, so I only saw Moxley and Claudio. It was a big surprise to me when Yuta jumped the rail, too. I was like, who's that little guy? And it was Yuta. And then we have had a version of La Facción Ignoborales or whatever the fuck it is on this show in the past, right? Like Preston Vance and all that. That was part of that, I think.
Yes.
This was
but
that.
they got a branch office opened up in Japan now.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. I was in the middle of watching this match, and it was Wheeler Yuta in the ring specifically, working with the other guys. And I said to myself, I'm going to email Jim that he can't skip this match. He needs to watch it. Like, this match deserves a breakdown. And the gods were listening. Independent of me doing that, you had the same realization.
Well, what drew me to it was because again, with the crew had just left and the TV was on and it was recording, I was going to do the same thing, which I did watch it in its entirety this morning. But I heard, as we were trying to get something to eat, Sockface bringing the opposing team of the BBC to the ring with a rundown of who they are and everything they've ever done, and a court stenographer couldn't have kept up with it, and nobody not only could pronounce, but gives a shit to try to pronounce any of the fucking words that came out of his fucking sock. The Los Fuckers and Goobers of Japan branch division of Los Fuckers and Goobers of Mexico. I couldn't understand their fucking Shingo Takagi. His name was on the screen. So I got that when Smiley Roberts introduced him. I couldn't tell what the other two fucking names were. I couldn't tell it apart from all the other words that I've never heard before. When Sockface said it, and I'm looking at two Japanese guys that look like henchmen in a Raymond Chow production, and a masked guy that's coming to the ring holding another mask in his hand that doesn't look like he's 5 feet tall. 3 more inches, he's a mini. And this is a match that's going to go 15 fucking minutes. And remember, I've said before that whenever anybody either wrestles against or even teams with Moxley, whenever Moxley is in a match, even talent looks worse. I think that they just forget how to work. It falls apart. I think this is the worst example of that I've ever seen. I was
And it had length.
gobsmacked.
At least they gave it length to really flesh out. Because I had that moment, the epiphany early in the match, like, I have to see where this is going to go. And then everyone's work, even Claudio. I know you like the European uppercuts, but
No, that's the thing. Even Claudio, who in the past I have seen, witnessed with my own eyes, have wonderful matches. This was the fakest looking, most embarrassing bullshit from everybody that I've ever seen. That's why I'm saying it's catching. When Moxley's involved, everybody sucks. I don't know how otherwise to explain it.
I completely agree.
So, what we are going to do is we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to try this and see if this tickles anybody's taint, Brian. Because it's almost impossible to describe to people who didn't see this what went on, and it was impossible to write down notes that quickly on what all was fucking up. And it just has to be seen to be believed. So what we are going to do is we are going to do a watch along of this fucking match that they presented on national television that was an embarrassment to the wrestling business. And if you all out there in podcast land or YouTube land or internet land would like to watch along, then I think that's the only way that this match would ever be remotely in any way entertaining.
Well, I think it's a good idea. Like I said before, while I was watching this match, the BCC versus the LIJ, while I was watching this match and thinking of all the other letters I could incorporate into a match, I did say to myself, I would love to hear Jim do commentary because it was such a mess. And sometimes you skip past that stuff. Sometimes you go, and it was garbage, and I fess. But this one was so bad, I always wanted you to break it down. And
I would have normally skipped this, but luckily, I somehow got sucked into this vortex. But anyway, explain to the people the technical part, since this is your program, of how we're going to do this thing there, where they can watch this on the tape and listen to us on the Raycons or whatever.
Right. Well, here's what we're going to do. We have access to AEW Dynamite from last night. Of course, last night as we are recording was June 26, 2024. And it's a 6-man match, the BCC versus the LIJ. And we're going to start your review of this, Jim, when the bell actually rings. So there isn't a jump start. The two teams are in their two corners.
Right. And remember, folks, again, you have to listen to what Sockface says when the Japanese version of the Los Fuckers and Goobers are on their way to the ring, because this is the biggest line of gibberish, made-up words, and unintelligible caca that I've ever heard in my life while he's trying to get these fucking guys over.
Well, we won't be playing that audio here because...
No, because you got to listen to that. Then you're going to listen to us while you watch the visual part of the shitty stuff.
Plus, we have a no Excalibur rule. That guy completely sucks. But Jim, let's now go to this video, or at least let's watch this video. Everyone can watch along. BCC versus LIJ.
Starting when the bell rings.
We're going to start when the bell rings. Countdown from 5, and then I'll actually say press play now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play now.
Boom, and there's the bell. And now watch these. Watch this. I got to get this fucking volume out of my ear. There we go. It's like Claudio is afraid he's going to hurt this guy. Because, and I would be too, because is this another one of these 50-year-old broken down ex-Japanese? Look at the headlock. He's like, ooh, I don't want to hurt your neck. Watch when he shoots Claudio off. His head just pops out of the thing before he even... Now watch the forearms. They're hitting air. They are not touching each other. Look. It's not even close. They're hitting air in front of each other.
Takagi's 41 years old.
Oh, good Lord. And the second European uppercut actually made some noise. But again, can Takagi, is he able to bend over? Or is that kind of, gone past him? Because look, he's standing straight up on a hip toss. But why do they do the forearm shit? That's the worst I've ever seen, but we'll see many more examples in this match, and it all sucks. And now who we got? Useless and... Who's this? Takahashi?
I will get his name for you in a moment, but
they're doing square dancing into a fucking kung fu movie at 100 miles an hour. And again, they're running 100 miles an hour, but when they hit each other, they're barely touching. And then now watch, they will not know which way to shoot Wheeler off here. Look, they can't figure out which way to, back, front. Oh, here we go.
And he just turns around.
Yeah, he just turned around for him so they could figure it out.
You say people are small. He really is. He has no frame for a wrestler when you watch him.
No, watch this. Watch this. Wait a minute. The Mexican guy is going to do a clothesline and fall out of the ring and bust his ass on the floor. Boom, and there he goes. Right there. Oh, shit. Did anybody see me fall down? No, I'll just climb back in real quick. I'll come off the top rope, boom, and what the fuck? Can they slow down?
Just roll.
So that anybody could goddamn recognize what's going on here?
That's Titan, by the way. Titan.
Look. He dove out of the ring on the fucking guy, and look at Yuta took his own bump. He threw him back in so fast that... The Japanese referee is from New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's apparently almost as tall as the top rope. And it's just a video game bunch of bullshit with these guys at 100 miles an hour and nobody can process.
And you brought up that people should hear the commentary. Danielson's on commentary with all the charisma. Bruno Sammartino in the late 80s on commentary.
Oh, boy. And Bruno was a living legend, but not as a broadcaster. Now, look at this fucking guy. Pip, 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 cheerio. Claudio just said, fuck it, I'll just stagger. And then he fucking skins the cat onto the top rope. Claudio turns, but he ain't got his balance yet, so Claudio has to stagger. Now he jumps, but thankfully he only weighs 116 pounds, so Claudio caught him. And by the way, who are the baby faces and who are the heels? The hometown BBC, the people cheer them, or are they just cheering the Trogs? Are they cheering Wild Thing? Or are they cheering the BBC? Because they're the baby faces. These other guys are supposed to be the heels. But now they're going to get fucking heat on the goddamn heels. And then the fucking heels are going to have a comeback here. And I don't know what they're doing. By the way, this is the commercial break for folks in the United States. So immediately Moxley, it's picture in picture, so I've seen it. But Moxley takes the guy out and puts him in a chair and just starts punching him. And now everybody's just walking around outside the ring, not doing any goddamn thing.
What's the referee doing? Why isn't he counting? Considering what the finish is, why is any of this happening?
Because they're in the commercial break. So for these 4,000 people in this building where they can't usually sell that many tickets, they're just jacking off. And Moxley's trying to take the fucking Mexican guy's mask off or whatever. But again, this is all in the commercial break in the States. And they're just killing time, beating up this child-size Mexican mini. And in a minute, when they come back, you'll see that immediately they'll kick up a notch with their pace. And I understand grabbing a hold during a commercial break, but just wandering around outside for no reason and just jacking off when they're in the state they're in with selling tickets to these live people. This is just brutal. Now they're doing old fucking wishbone spots and a chin lock. It goes from 100 miles an hour to fuck, let's bore them out of the building. But meanwhile, the baby faces are getting heat on the heels instead of the other way around. I don't know what the fuck. Who is supposed to be the heels here? That's a question for you.
I can't answer that. I cannot answer that.
And look now, this guy is. Claudio at least can still do the big swing. But again, not hard when you've got a child in your arms.
Yuta on the apron looks like a fan won a contest.
Well, yes, because, he was out for quite a while. He had the opportunity to drink some milkshakes or something, gain some weight. So, nevertheless, we're still watching this. I hope that everybody is enjoying the picture-in-picture, because this is what was the point of this. What the fuck? The people are sitting there like they're in a library, and it just staring at what's going on. Okay, now, I believe, yes, they did. They just came back from commercial in America, so naturally Moxley throws the guy to the floor. And he throws him kind of half-ass over the railing and then walks off. What the fuck was that for? And then the mini is going to stop Moxley here and make a hot tag to one of the other heels here in a second. Oh, first he's got to stop Claudio and fall on his fucking ass. Trying to do the double stomp off of fucking Claudio's back. Now the baby faces stop the heels from making a hot tag. I can't believe I'm saying these words.
I don't think they're the heels. You can't call them the heels.
Well, and did you see that when he did the back bend to duck Moxley's clothesline and suddenly was frozen there and Moxley stared at him dumbfounded? Okay, the hot tag by the heels. And the other guy comes in. Is this Takagi again?
This is Takagi.
Okay, and he makes a big comeback. And he's, again, fake forearms. What the fuck? Why are they doing that over and over? Is it now Takagi's he's gonna beat up Claudio, and there's Moxley, and boom. And now watch this Three Stooges spot. I can't even describe it, but Moxley and Claudio run into each other, and then he clotheslines both of them. They don't sell it, so he drops both of them on their head. This unknown fat fucking Japanese guy is beating up two of their top stars, and now there's Useless in, and the same thing. Old Shingo there's kicking the shit out of everybody. we'll see him Sunday and then hopefully and probably never again, but he looks better than all the homegrown talent. And now watch this.
And we heard from people in the building that said the crowd was dead for LIJ.
Well, looky here. 12 fake forearms that neither one of them sells traded back and forth. Then here comes a couple clotheslines that they don't sell either. And then the first time that Shingo sells something is going to be a goddamn nose bite. Look, clothesline, pop up, clothesline the other guy. Pop up, clothesline the other guy. Finally, Moxley, I'll bite his nose. What the fuck is going on? And then he don't sell that. And what the fuck is this do-si-do back and forth?
I'm laughing because you can't call this. You can't
call it. And then I think simultaneous cold tags are coming up. Yes, we'll have simultaneous cold tags to Useless and the other Japanese fellow who are going to come in and exchange 14 more forearms that nobody sells, and then some more shit that doesn't work on either guy, just back and forth. Look at what the fuck? Look, they hit him in the face 6 times, and now they're just running back and forth at 100 miles an hour. It looks like the worst wrestling school tryout fucking match that's ever been held, where you start teaching them what not to fucking do. Oh my God. Oh my God. So we're about to put old Wheeler away here, because of course he is the weak link on the team. And I believe at this we're almost done with this, by the way, it looks like. Yeah, here we go. The Japanese guy's about to put Wheeler away, and Moxley, babyface, brings in a chair and fucking cracks the guy. Disqualification. Now they have a sloppy... Look at these punches in this fight. Did you see the masked guy almost tackled Aubrey out of the ring trying to grab Claudio and then jumped up on Claudio's back? Claudio doesn't notice. And now they're all swinging at each other and nobody's connected with anything. One guy's front face locked useless, it looks like, just to slow him down. Was that? Oh, I thought it was Aubrey. It's a Japanese referee that bailed out. I'm saying it looked like Aubrey.
Well, now we have a big surprise, obviously.
Oh, well, now, yes. Now, while they're still fighting, here comes a video with music of this guy is Naito, right?
He is Naito.
Okay, well, why was he trying to pry his right eye open when he comes out?
He has bad contact lenses.
And by the way, there's still people fighting at ringside. This guy is slow to come out. But yes, look, he's trying to pry. I mean, the viewers are trying to pry their eyes open with toothpicks. But why is he trying to pry? Is he got a monocle we can't see? So now Naito's starting to take his clothes off. And Moxley's going to run to him. And Brian, I just want you to watch. As soon as they tackle each other, they're going to start trading fake forearms. What is the fascination with this? That it looks so bad, so embarrassing. And by the way, how old is this guy? 56? Do you have any idea what is his age? Or has he just been in bad car wrecks?
42.
Look at, they're hitting each other's biceps. And they're going to fight off. And you don't see them anymore. Because the other guy in the ring is going to beat up Wheeler. So goodbye to them. We'll see y'all later. And the fight is now continued. But we never find out what happened to Claudio or the little Mexican fellow. Where did they go? They've disappeared because these are the only two left. So that's why Danielson has to leave color to come down here and go face to face with Shingo here.
This is the worst. This is what I hate too. The elbow almost near the neck.
Yes.
It's supposed to be to the jaw. I don't know what it's supposed to do.
It's supposed to tear your rotator cuff of your shoulder, I guess. I don't know, when you're delivering it, not when you're getting hit with it. So where did Claudio go?
I don't know, but now Danielson's in the ring.
And you know what they're going to do? Nothing. They're going to talk mean to each other and gesticulate and make faces.
It's an amazing career move. Danielson left WWE and said, how do I become the least commercial version of myself? And that's what we got now. Danielson versus Shingo Takagi as part of the Owen Hart tournament at Forbidden Door.
When I talk about a lot of this amateur, fake-looking bullshit and nonsensical match psychology and construction, an example of almost everything that we ever talk about was right there in that one fucking match.
You know,
your closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts, it's beyond the match. Because when matches like that happen, and they happen frequently in AEW, whether it's a Moxley match, whether it's a random 6-man match, whether it's a multi-man match with people who have never appeared on the show before, all of it in front of a dead crowd, it does nothing to help the show. You have these long competitive squash matches that don't cause anyone to be interested in any. No one came out of this and goes, man, I really can't wait for Moxley versus Naito. Nobody came out of this.
I can't remember which one Naito is.
He's the one who fought off with Moxley. That's the point. They're the ones wrestling at the pay-per-view. This big grudge match. The man who makes you want to close your eyes versus the man who tries to open his eye. From the, the hairdo era of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, what is with everybody's hair? And at least conditioner would be their friend also, at least.
You go look at New Japan. Look, I know you can't go back and make things what they were, but go look at New Japan in the 80s or the 90s, and then look at the Americanized or almost wannabe Americanized version of it now, and it's just,
the
looks of the wrestlers and just what it's trying to be. But anyway, this match was extraordinarily bad, but it's not unique. But it kills the show because we keep getting more and more things like this, and they don't recognize it's the problem. Wheeler Yuta should not be getting any focus on this show. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. Put him in Ring of Honor. You really believe in him that much. So, yeah, those are my closing thoughts. Awful match. But entertaining because of it.
Well, anyway, hopefully that was a learning moment, teaching lesson, teaching moment. What does the kids say? Hopefully you learned something if you watch that and listen to us at the same time, what not to do. Kids and fellow aspiring wrestlers out there. Anyway, had another Owen Hart tournament match with Light Switch Wyatt against Felix. Wyatt won 1, 2, 3. And the heels were in the ring because you had Gin and Juice and you had the Guns. They're all celebrating. And music plays, and I swear to God, Christian Cage and Dino Douche and Nick Plain and Nick Plain's mom walk menacingly down the ramp, and they are staring at each other, and the gangbang gang dares them to get in the ring, but they don't, and they walked off, and nothing happened. And now in the first segment, you had 4 baby faces mad at each other. Now you've got 8 heels mad at each other. What? Help!
Again, who, even amongst the biggest fans of the people involved in this, said, I'd like to see these guys all involved in a feud together? No one. It's just the show gets worse and worse, and just everyone's feuding with the wrong person or the wrong faction. It's extraordinarily bad. The Dynamite's on a run of some of the worst shows ever produced for professional wrestling ever. Not just since the beginning, but like for the last few months. It's just an extraordinarily bad run. And you hear people say, oh, Dynamite was great. I'm surprised the rating was bad. They had great matches. No one gives a fuck. It's a bad show.
And I'm not even seeing the great matches. I'm sorry. I'm a professional. And I, am offended by this amateur hour production. So I'm not seeing great matches. I'm seeing overindulgent indie bullshit. But
yeah, and at the end, like, they have all these belts. They're like draping each other in all the belts. And I'm like, they're like, oh, they have all the gold. I'm like, yeah, this is why your belts mean fucking nothing. They literally have excess belts they don't know what to do with.
Nobody has all the gold. Nobody's strong enough to pick all those fucking belts up.
Well, Santo Gold has all the gold, but let's continue on with this Dynamite.
All righty, well, we're getting to the Hardley Boys segment because they did a promo in the back. And next week, they're going to insert a wild card in the Owen Hart tournament that's going to win the whole thing. And then they ended it with some unfunny comedy. I was hoping that would be all that we would see of them on this program, but it was not to be. Because I don't know why they're doing this, but they sent the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn to the ring and then went to break, but they didn't rap. Caster didn't rap. They come back from the break. It's the top of the 9 o'clock hour. They want, apparently, they thought that the Acclaim's appeal that they may still have left with the fans would counteract the Buckaroos' go-away heat to where they might stay even or gain a bit at the top of the hour. But the Acclaimed has dovetailed in popularity. They lightly chanted "Scissor Me, Daddy" when they first started the promo, but Max Caster doing a promo with no music, it didn't. And that's where we mentioned earlier in the show, they tried to bleep "young cucks," and they bleeped it twice, but they let "pricks" go by. So I don't know what's going on. But the whole thing is the Acclaimed beat the Buckaroos last week to earn a title shot. Now they got to beat them one more time, and they're going to win the belts. And then Bowens did a promo that was better than Caster's. It said, all we need to do is beat you in a nozzles one more time. And they start to scissor, but then, of course, here come the Lollipop Guild and O'Cody, and they interrupt it so that the people don't get to see the scissoring. And they have O'Cody say, "As scissor me, bitch." There went several $1 million so that you can have an unimpressive, goofy-looking fucking guy in an ill-fitting suit come out and say bitch in a foreign accent. Was that a good investment, you think, Brian?
No. Turns out I don't think it was at all. Even if Okada was booked well, I don't know if it would be a good investment right now, just because of a variety of factors.
Because he can't do anything, such as he's the shits. That's the first thing. And by the way, I watched that match with Ultimo Guerrero.
Oh, and the one where apparently he showed up not knowing he needed a mask.
Yes.
And then they had to sew him one together quickly.
A masked wrestler from Mexico showed up not knowing he needed a mask to wrestle in. And they made him one, and it didn't fit. And that's what was O'Cody's excuse? The guy with the ill-fitting mask looked better than O'Cody. He can't move. His body sucks. His haircut is stupid. His promos are silly. His work is the shits. He has no emotion. And he looks broken down physically on top of the pale, flabby physique. Good Lord, what is everybody else looking at? So anyway.
His resume. That's the problem. Everyone's treating him like he's the wrestler he was 8 years ago. And he's not. The match was a disaster, and apparently it was taped, so they edited it a great deal to get it on air.
If what they showed was what they could consider airing, what did they cut out?
Yeah, not good. He has not looked impressive at all. And we've seen a string of guys right now, the last few years, come out of Japan, broken down and beaten down from the style and the schedule. From Ibushi, who immediately had both legs snap or
amputated. He's going to come back looking like Cotton Hill.
Man, there were people talking about him when he was coming in, like, this will shut you guys up. Wait until you see the real Ibushi. He came in, looked like he didn't give a shit, looked like he hadn't worked out in years, and just worked what we're seeing, this like soft, safe, and again, it's supposed to all be safe, but it's supposed to look good.
But it's not supposed to look phony.
Yeah, just everything is looking soft, and Okada, to go back to him, has not looked very good in AEW so far.
Ibushi came in to sign a contract to take care of him while he went and had everything he had operated on. What he obviously did. So then, the Buckaroos, they're being booed out of the building by the fans, but not in the good money-drawing way, but in like, oh, please shut the fuck up. Ooh, we don't want... And they challenge the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn for Forbidden Door. But Billy Gunn got on a microphone and actually saved it with a little bit of energy, but then say, I know some important people. I'd like to kick your ass right now, and he would be able to if he wanted to. But I'm a step aside because we've got another partner that's going to be the Acclaim's partner. I know a president. And most normal people be saying, what, he's going to fucking get Joe Biden? But no, the video pops up on the screen of Tanahashi. And for all of the, 46,000 people in a country of 350 million that watch New Japan Pro Wrestling on Access somewhere, they know Tanahashi's the president of New Japan. But his promo plays with subtitles. He's going to be the third guy against the Elite. And that was it. What the promos with subtitles now we're getting multiple times. Does anybody... Nobody reads anymore. Do you think they want to read to be sold a fucking pay-per-view match?
I think at a certain point, more than almost anything else in AEW, this is where Tony needs to let go of his fandom. The build-up to Forbidden Door every year is becoming a disaster. And it's just constantly, another surprise. Who is it? Oh, it's another New Japan wrestler you saw last year do the exact same fucking thing right before this pay-per-view. Now it's Stardom. Now it's CMLL. And you're just loading this show where no one's over with lots of people who aren't over because they've never been seen. Like, they've never been at a shot. And now we get this. Another match added to Forbidden Door. Because that's what we wanted when we ran down the 9-match card or whatever it was. Another match.
Is the jury in or out on whether we're watching that fucking thing or not?
I want to see a few matches, so I have to, I'm going to watch it.
What about a truncated version of where just the 2 or 3 things, if they have that many, that involving somebody that we know and have heard of that people may be interested in discussing?
See, I'm okay with that unless it's one of those things where it's like a match like the BCC versus LIJ. Like,
where you've just got to express consternation that it was allowed to be shown.
Like, I don't think you'd want to watch Moxley versus Naito. However, if we hear that it's like extra Moxley-ish, that may be worth a review. MJF versus Hechicero, I'm watching that. Swerve versus Ospreay, that's the no-brainer, right?
Yeah, morbid curiosity for MJF and Hechichichia.
In home. I mean, that's MJF's home, too. That's Long Island. So it's a hometown show with MJF versus Hechicero. And there are other matches. I mean, I kind of want to see the Mercedes Moné match to see if it's any good. And I kind of want to see the Mina Shirakawa match just because she's got her boobs out on display for everyone, and she doesn't seem to mind anyone talking about it.
Well, before we get there to the booby match, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Pockets were in the back doing the interview with Renee Moxley Good. And Mark Briscoe is a great promo and did one and was completely wasted here and in this company. Massive talent and what he could have been. And then Kyle O'Reilly busted out a great promo imitating Mark Briscoe. They could have done something with him because at least he's different. They hadn't brought him back looking like a homeless bum. It just fell off a fucking freight train and then beat him. And then the jerk jack off just stood there. So whatever. Then we got to the booby match. Explain to me Tony Storm, Maria May, and Mitsu Arakawa versus Anna Jay, Saraya, and Harley Cameron.
Mina Shirakawa, Harley Cameron, the illegitimate daughter of Dave Cameron.
You said that wasn't true. Now you're admitting it? Well, nevertheless, didn't they just do the same thing that the guys and girls are teaming with people that they're wrestling on the pay-per-view this Sunday in the same television show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You got a problem?
Well, the first 30 seconds of this match looked like strippers at the Mouse's Ear trying to play wrestler.
Did you see the part where Mina and Mariah, I don't even know what to say, stuck their chests out and just shook?
Yes. And they were shaking, snapping their fingers.
See, that's the thing that gets me for the people that try to justify all this shit, especially the AEW women's division.
It's not just tits and ass. They're real athletes. Shaking their tits and ass.
You have them out there, other than them, it's like a wedgie contest amongst the women every single week, because if you don't have a wedgie, you're not going to get over. Because it's, this is the era of ass, ever since J-Lo in 99, I guess.
Oh, trust me. As an older man, I can tell you ass has always been around.
No, I feel like everything was kind of centered around the breast until the late 90s, until like J-Lo, and then like the fucking Kardashians exploded. It was all about ass. It wasn't about tits anymore. It was just all ass. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But back to what I was saying.
What were you saying?
Here these two women are shaking their stuff on TV. I ask this every time, who is this for? Last week with that record low number, it's interesting because the audience that tuned it out were the older men. Like, not the key demo. It was the people outside of the key demo that were like, enough of this, and they turned it off. And that was a big enough portion of the audience that affected everything. Do you think men over the age of 49 watch this and not just think, I'd like to fuck her? They're watching this for any other reason when this is how it's being presented to them? Do you think men 18 to 49, that's a big fucking age range. What do you think they're thinking when they watch this? Well, I'm very happy about women's equality. I'm glad these women have a chance to go out there and wear as little as possible.
No, because here's the thing.
Who's the audience? Like there's no female audience, so none of this is being marketed or pushed to females, which would be the only justification. Well, you don't understand. This is female entertainment. This is what females would like. Who is this for? Who is this supposed to connect to?
If
what
they're
audience
18
and
to
what
49,
demo?
If they're 18 to 49-year-old men, they know very well that they can get a variety of the most disgusting porn available in the world for free on the internet. They don't need to watch these girls covering their shit up and shaking it while it's covered. And if there are men 49 and over, they don't want to fuck these 20-year-old fucking airheaded bimbos. They want somebody with some experience that'll goddamn dig in and show them some shit.
But again, sometimes people don't go the extra mile. People are lazy. I remember a few years before he died, there were photos of like some tabloid of Glenn Fry buying porno magazines. Magazines! It was like, wow, he's still going to that.
Well, maybe he had a long car trip or something.
I don't know. But that's my big point. All kidding aside, and all honesty aside, who is this division for? Who, if you're behind this division, if you're in this division, if you stop and you say, our key audience for the women's division segments is blank. Who is it? Because I don't think it exists. So then it's just, you gotta call it what it is. It's a little TNA show, no pun intended to the Bad Wrestling promotion. It's a little TNA show in the middle of the wrestling card. And that's why I like Mina Shirakawa. She doesn't pretend. She comes out and says exactly what it is, and she shows you exactly what it is. Most honest female wrestler in the business. But other than that, that's the thing. Like MJF trying to elevate Garcia with Ospreay in there. There's something, I'm not saying it's right or how I would have done it, but there's something there you could almost kind of understand and relate to if you're a guy and you're watching this, or anyone watching this. This stuff with the women's division, who is this supposed to connect to, and who's supposed to get behind it?
Well, can you just even explain to me what this finish was, or the afterbirth? Because Toni Storm's team won, and then Maria May got the champagne for Toni and Mitsu Arakawa so that they could toast each other and drink the champagne. And then Maria hugs Mitsu, but then Toni Storm gets Maria and starts dancing with her. So Mitsu gets the bottle of champagne.
Mina.
Whichever. Miss Arakawa.
Mina.
goes
Jericho.
to gets the bottle of champagne and goes behind to hit Toni Storm, but she ducks and Miss Arakawa breaks the bottle of champagne over Maria's head.
Mariah.
And then both of Toni and Miss Arakawa check on Maria while they're side by side, and then they stand up and yell at each other. And then the referee says, "Oh, don't fight." And there's Maria May laid out. Why was she going to hit her from? She went from handing or drinking a toast to trying to hit the girl over the head with the bottle just suddenly. And if you broke a bottle over one of the top guys' heads in an angle in a major match, you might actually draw some money, but this is just bullshit. But the fuck. Oh my God.
Like, that's the thing, like Bianca Belair, Jade, I'll use them as an example. You watch them in their stuff, even when Jade's not wrestling all that great, they're believable and they're not like, you can get into it. It's like they're wrestlers wrestling, not a bunch of people performing bad skits. WWE does it too, but these AEW women's, the whole division is just a complete fucking disaster.
The people involved in this, most of them need to be wrestling in Jell-O in a kid's blow-up pool. And then speaking of kids and, well, there's no blow-up pool involved in this, but Mercedes Moon and Stephanie Vacker are going to have the match, and they had a package on that, and then Mercedes was in the back. And all I've got to say, I don't know what she said. I'm not going to try to recap it. It just went by. It was a scripted heel promo delivered in, again, a fake and stilted way. And
she's
what
a babyface, by the way, I think.
No, this was a heel promo through and through. No, nobody could mistake this. You'd have to be a complete fucking idiot to let a babyface say a promo like this in this fashion. Are you calling somebody a complete idiot?
You know, at this point, who knows who's a babyface and who's a heel all over that show.
Anyway, I know who a heel is. Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith for making us watch this. How did they hurt Brian Keith already? His arm is in a sling.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but it somehow happened recently, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't last long. So Big Bill, now his promos are as bad and as phony as Jericho's. Remember when we thought, wow, he's really coming on a few months ago before this whole thing started? And Jericho said, well, don't worry about the 6-man tag. Against who the fuck are they wrestling at the pay-per-view?
That's
Lord.
Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata.
Oh, Joe, Hook, and Shapoopy. That's right, because they're about to come out. Silva said, don't worry about 6-man tag because we got another partner. I'm going to play a video of who we got that we haven't even watched it yet. We're going to watch it for the first time with all of y'all. Jesus Christ. They would have had to watch it in the production truck to time the fucking thing. This is so fake. And of course, they set that up. And he introduced, so here he is, fellow Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Famer Minoru Suzuki. And here's another promo on the screen in subtitles. But now they've set that up. Obviously, Minoru Suzuki says, I don't know what the learning tree and all that bullshit is. I don't want to be any part of that. I don't want to team with Jericho. I want to wrestle him one-on-one. Oh, joy. So, what's Suzuki now, 60? We've established he's a fucking Fabergé egg. They don't want to hurt him because they're afraid he'll stretch him. But he looks like shit and wrestles worse. Against Jericho, what will the combined age be? Over 110.
56 is Suzuki.
He's 56. How old is Jericho? We're going to be close here.
We're going to be under, I think.
Hold
on. That's a map of Jericho, Long Island. Chris Jericho.
A map of Jericho, Long
53.
Island. 50. Okay. God damn it. 109. When's their birthdays? between now and Sunday?
Yeah, I just closed the windows. I didn't check.
But never mind, there's a chance.
There's a chance.
And then after that plays and Jericho's all upset, then here comes Samoa Joe and Hook and Shapoopy out. And Joe is trying. He really is trying on the promo. He always gives it his all, but this is, and I think he knows. He cut the promo on Jericho and company, but then he pitched to Shapoopy in Shapoopy's phone to tell Jericho that they suck. And then Jericho slapped Joe, and Joe headbutted Jericho, and they had a 5-second fight, and the heels bailed out. So then who is the match? Is it Joe and Hook and Shapoopy against what is going on here? Is it a 6-man? Is it a single match? Who's Shapoopy gonna fucking wrestle?
According to the AEW website, let me refresh this. That match and others are not listed on the website. Hold on, let me go to Wikipedia.
Oh, good Lord.
Wow, there's now 13 matches. Jesus.
Oh, come on.
We just did a preview the other day. There were 9 matches. Oh, no. A pre-show match. Statlander and Momo Watanabe.
What? Wasn't he the Prime Minister of Uganda after Idi Amin?
Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe.
I'm telling you, he was a cannibal.
With Stokely Hathaway versus Willow Nightingale and Tam Nakano. Mariah May with her crew versus Saraya. And then the Lucha Brothers and Mystico versus L.I.J., who we just saw in Dynamite in a big match. And finally...
have we seen Mystico at all? Was his name mentioned?
No, he's one of the biggest stars in Lucha Libre history. So, of course, they didn't bill him for being a part of any of this. It still has here on Wikipedia the Learning Tree and Jeff Cobb versus Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata. Wasn't it Jeff Cobb versus someone else the last time we looked at this?
I don't know, but nobody mentioned Jeff Cobb's name on this fucking program.
No.
Including the people that are teaming with him.
And Suzuki made it sound like he's going into a singles match with Jericho.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move along here. If they don't know who the matches are, then we shouldn't be, penalized for not knowing. They had Kyle O'Reilly versus Saber the Q-Tip. And it was a technical mat wrestling match of the... It was so dry you had to watch it in the rain. It was very mat-based and technical. It was executed mostly very well from what I saw as I was zipping through. But that's... Again, that's the problem, is that it looks like 2 kids at junior high recess trying to imitate Billy Robinson and Tony Charles at some points.
Was this the match where they had Orange Cassidy on commentary?
Well, I was about to say, and then they had Pockets on color mumbling and acting like that they're all still in some barn in Cucamonga putting this thing on VHS. It's not professional. They shouldn't have this type of bogus horseshit on a national cable television program. He said something like, yeah, those guys they're doing a lot of moves I can't do. Jesus fucking Christ. So then they wrestled for a while, and then Q-Tip got an arm bar and O'Reilly tapped out. That was pretty much that. But then Roderick Strong and Taven and Bennett were in the front row, and Roddy was arguing with some guy next to him they said was named Gabe Kidd. Have we ever seen this fucking guy before?
I don't think we've ever seen him on this show. If we have, I'm not sure, but he's one of the biggest stars right now in New Japan.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah,
he looked like that Zicky Dice guy that was on NWA for a while. So Roddy was arguing with that guy. Does Wardlow still work here?
It's a good question. I don't know.
He was in this group.
He was.
Did he excommunicate them? Or
so was Adam Cole, who we were told was healthy enough to come to these shows again, and then all of a sudden he's gone again.
Well, did you ever get the feeling that you wanted to stay? Did you ever get the feeling that you had to go? Wanted to stay, had to go. Ha-cha-cha. The schnoz. Jimmy Durante was an underrated talent. So, Pockets goes to check on O'Reilly, but Roddy and company push him back away from Kyle so they can check on O'Reilly. But then Q-Tip and Pockets go face-to-face with each other in a confrontational way, when suddenly what I thought were two fans in baseball caps, but apparently are friends of Q-Tips, roll in the ring, and they face off with Pockets, 3 against 1 of the. But then music plays, and I swear to God, here comes Ishii. This guy looks like he could qualify for disability payments from the state. He stands next to Pockets. Well, what are you laughing at?
I never heard that before.
He could file. I'm telling you, show a picture of him, watch him walk. That's a pretty slam dunk case, but he stands next to Pockets, and there's still 2 against 3, but then Gabe Kidd jumps up on the apron yelling at everybody, and the fans are kind of staring at this, and then nothing happens and everybody leaves. So what? Is there a match coming out of this?
Pockets versus Zack Sabre Jr. at the pay-per-view. What are you doing?
Tearing some of that shit up.
It's a lot of paper, it sounds like.
Well, it was only 1 page. I wanted to make sure that nobody could read it. So then, the main event started at 4 minutes until 10. The end of the show comes at 10 o'clock normally, schedule-wise. They always run over, obviously. But they can't even now time it to where they could legitimately start a match that they're just... next week, they're going to start the main event in the overrun, is what I'm trying to say. They started the main event, which wasn't worthy of being a main event, but at 4 minutes until 10... So they went 2 minutes and then went to a break, and they were still in the break at the goddamn top of the hour. And my DVR froze before they came back, so if somebody was switching around at the top of the hour, they saw a commercial for fucking Ovaltine? What? The heels jump-started, the baby faces took over, they teased dissension, the heels took back over, they went to the break. My DVR froze. I didn't even care enough to find out what happened. Did someone turn on someone and sodomize them with a red-hot crowbar?
I don't know about that. That seems like a step too far. But at the very end, Swerve kicked.
You shouldn't heat them up. I've seen pictures where they don't heat them up. They just use the crowbar, and it's much easier.
I don't know what's going on over there, but Swerve kicked Ospreay in the head at the very end of the match, at the very end of the segment.
Well, there you go. Ain't that a kick in the head?
So Swerve technically, I guess, is a heel now.
Ain't that a hole in the boat? But here's the thing. Does that make him a heel now, or does that make him a bigger babyface because the people started liking him when he was terrorizing infant babies and breaking into people's homes doing home invasions? So since now they don't like him anymore because all he does is get his ass kicked, maybe if he kicked this other motherfucker in the head, they'll like him again. And you can kick Ostrich in the head all you want. You can't tell when he talks whether there's any damage or not.
Well, that was AEW Dynamite once again.
It certainly was.
I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This show is review heavy today because we had to review these, but...
Well, we had to have some fun, and this is actually the only 2 things that I've been able to keep up with over the last 3 days, was one Raw and one AEW, and the rest of my time has been compromised with other television productions and things of that nature. But we're going to talk about who killed WCW on the Experience this week, if that helps anybody.
That's right. And you talk about people like you having issues with time. You get busy. A lot of people get busy. A lot of small businesses get busy, and they need help. They need help online to sell their product, and we know who to tell them to talk to.
We know Hooter, tell them to tutor too.
We know English will come back for the Experience.
We know English despite evidence to the contrary in this program. We know English, and folks, you don't have to know English. You can live anywhere in the world because Shopify is a global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, not just if you're busy. If you're just sitting around bored with Pete in hand, they will still help you and they will make you busier because they can start you out all the way from the launch your online shop stage to the we just hit 1 million orders stage and everywhere in between. No matter what you're selling, they've got the platform and the ability and the expertise to build you and maintain for you a wonderful storefront presence on the interwebs that it'll be easy as pie to use. Or it's actually, should it be easy as cake? It's always easy as pie and a piece of cake. Why isn't cake easy? Pie comes in pieces. Do you know what I'm saying, Brian?
Well, what do you think is more complicated to bake or make?
Bake or make.
What is more complicated to bake or make?
I'll tell you what, if your dough ain't all baked, folks, you need Shopify's help because they power 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States and a number of the bakeries. And Shopify is a global force behind Allbirds and Brooklinen and Rothy's and millions of other entrepreneurs. Is that Rothschild? Is that the Baron Rothschild?
Who are you talking about? Where are you getting these names?
The owner of Rothy's. Well, it's right here in the copy.
Why would
these are?
If you were a Rothschild, why would you?
These are brand names that everybody knows: Allbirds and Rothy's and Brooklinen. Well, Shopify has millions of entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. They can help you out. They can do whatever. So what you need to do right now, and I'll tell you this, if you're a business person looking to be able to sell shit and make money, you're looking to save money at the same time, keep the expenses down, you can sign up for a $1 a month trial period right now at shopify.com/JCE. All lowercase, by the way. And where else in the world are you going to get somebody to do all this work for you and give you the benefit of their expertise and their genius for only $1 a month? I mean, you can't even get a hobo to blow you on Broadway behind a dumpster for $1 a month these days. I mean, inflation has hit every sector, but you can definitely get a $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/JCE right now. And that's what you need to do. And you will grow your business no matter what stage you are in. And no matter whether they can even help you sell stuff that isn't worth a flip to anybody. They can sell ice to Eskimos. They can sell fish to flounders. They can sell things that people wouldn't need to unsuspecting and unlikely people that wouldn't need those things. So certainly they can sell whatever kind of bogus shit you've got.
They can help you sell your stuff, your legitimate stuff, the stuff that you take a lot of pride in.
Possibly some stuff may be illegitimate. If you're not married and you put your stuff on that person, that's illegitimate stuff.
I don't think that's stuff that you could sell on Shopify, but you could sell most other things, most legitimate things that you legitimately have the rights to sell. Make sure you have the rights, ladies and gentlemen.
And then legitimize them.
That's right. And with that...
You know, Dixie Carter's father made $1 million one year from bull semen. Anyway, shopify.com/JCE right now, immediately to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/JCE. Ooh, boy.
Well, Jim, on the topic of running your own shop and starting up your own shop, that's what Tony Khan did a few years ago. Just a little guy with few $1 billion that he has access to because his dad said sure. And he started up the little engine that is AEW. Last week's ratings caused a panic amongst AEW friends and family and defenders. This week, you have to figure has to recover. But before we get there...
Yes. You know, there's going to be some... It can't get much worse, but go ahead.
Well, let's just briefly, because we've been mentioning it the last few weeks in comparison. NXT on June 25th this past week, 8 to 10:05 p.m., was watched by 611,000 viewers on average. So that's down from 724 last week.
So, what do they attribute the drop to? Or do they attribute the drop to anything?
Well, according to WrestleNomics, NXT was number 4 in prime time on cable in the key demo, behind Fox Sports 1's coverage of the Copa America and History Channel and History Channel's The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, Skywalker Ranch was George Lucas's home. Is there a Skinwalker Ranch?
Yes, it's right across the street from the Bunny Ranch. And they've got a special. If you're an NBA player with drugs, you get in 2 for 1.
All right, well, that's NXT. Let's go.
NXT did 611. Okay, well, they beat last week's AEW mark, but let's see what AEW did this week.
AEW this past week, Wednesday, June 26, 2024, 8 to 10:08 p.m. on TBS. On average, Jim, 680,000 viewers.
Oof. Okay, well, they bounced. I don't know if it was a bounce or just kind of a sideways wobble. Maybe they need a little more air in their ball, but they bounced back somewhat from 502,000, but with their regular lead-in and no sports tournaments or playoffs or whatever, they still only did 680,000.
Well, let's see what the quarters tell us. The story will come out. This is compiled by WrestleNomics. AEW Dynamite on TBS, June 26, 2024. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. The MJF Daniel Garcia Will Ospreay live promo, 846,000 viewers.
Ouch. Okay, they're back to a normal handoff from the big bangers. And with their average, I can only assume that there is going to be a massive break in an elevator cable, and this thing is going to plummet to a fucking fiery finish.
We go to quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. Swerve Strickland's backstage promo. Hiromu Takahashi, Shingo Takagi, and Titan.
I swear to fucking God.
Versus Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta. With picture-in-picture, 706,000 viewers.
Oh! It snapped early. 140,000 people right off the bat said, oh, this would not be for me.
And we've always said quarter 2 is the true number. The true starting number for this show is probably quarter 2. And there it is. Quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The continuation of that big 6-man match. The post-match with Tetsuya Naito and Bryan Danielson, an ad break, and the start of Rey Fénix versus Jay White, 631,000 viewers.
Oh, good Lord. So that 6-man tag did wonders for him. In 45 minutes, they have lost 215,000 people. They almost have to come up somewhere at this point to make their average, don't they?
Well, we go to quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The continuation of Rey Fénix versus Jay White with picture-in-picture. The post-match with the Bang Bang Gang and the Patriarchy. The Young Bucks backstage promo and an ad break. 613,000 viewers.
Well, apparently they don't have to go back up too soon. There went another rubber tree plant. They've got high hopes. So they are down 233,000 from the start in the first hour.
Well, we go now to the big 9 o'clock hour, quarter 5, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn and the Elite's live confrontation, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy's backstage promo, Anna Jay, Harley Cameron, and Saraya versus Mariah May. Did I say that already? I don't know, everyone's name sounds the same. Mina
Saraya.
Mina Shirakawa and Tony Storm with picture-in-picture. 707,000 viewers.
Holy shit, so...
The Pervs come alive at 9 p.m.
The Pervs come out. At 9 o'clock, the Lollipop Guild for once didn't run people off because they put vagina immediately following them, something that the Buckaroos have never had anything to do with. So you got variety. It's a variety show now.
Well, Jim,
they haven't seen one since they came out of it.
The variety continues in quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The continuation of the 6-woman match, the post-match, the Stephanie Vacour video, the Mercedes Moné promo, the Learning Tree, Minoru Suzuki, Samoa Joe live promo and angle with Hook and Shibata. 717,000 viewers.
Good Lord, they actually got 10,000 more for that. Well, bless their little pea-picking hearts.
But do you remember what happened the last couple times when they had Jericho at the end of a segment for a little while?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Now imagine that natural reaction from viewers combined with quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. An ad break, Kyle O'Reilly versus Zack Sabre Jr. with picture-in-picture. 637,000 viewers.
Okay, so there went another 80,000 people. So there's still now 209,000 from where they started from. They're up from their low of 613,000 people. Go ahead.
Well, we go to quarter 8, Jim. I remind you, there was a 7-minute overrun. Quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Kyle O'Reilly versus Zack Sabre Jr. continued. The post-match with TMDK, Undisputed Kingdom, Gabe Kidd, and Tomohiro Ishii. An ad break. And the start of Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay versus the Gates of Agony. With picture-in-picture. 615,000 viewers. 7-minute overrun. The continuation of the match and the post-match. 617,000 viewers.
Gee, that's just
by the
bathroom break fluctuation. Go ahead.
The average, not counting the first quarter or the overrun, is 660.
Yeah. So they artificially inflated only 20,000 people with their manipulation, and it still didn't. That's start to finish. 230,000 people. 31 or 30 or whatever the fuck. That was wait a minute, what is 200 and what percentage? Now I've asked you these things before. What percentage is 230,000 of 846,000? How do you do that?
All right, hold on. Give me a second here.
What percentage of 846,000 is 230,000?
Give me the first number again. 840?
846 is where they started.
846,
230 is what they lost. What percentage did they lose?
230.
Carry the 3.
27.18%. Quarter of their audience.
Almost a third. Closer to a...
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, Jim, as we wrap things up, we'll see what happens with Forbidden Door. Those are the ratings. Tony Khan's making the rounds, doing a media call earlier. And I don't know. I got to make sure this is a real image. Apparently, there's an image going around. Tony Khan was on Fox Business. The quote here in the cryon: Tony Khan, All Elite Wrestling CEO, 500 million plus people attended 110 live AEW events. in 2024. You know, I take everything bad I've ever said about him back. Obviously, he's much more successful than I ever realized.
But that's not even mathematically possible, is it? Can that be a gimmick, Chiron, that somebody has manufactured? He couldn't have said that. Wouldn't they? Well, it's Fox. They don't fact check anything. But what would that be? If 500 million for 100 and whatever live events, what's the math on that per capita, per event?
I'm doing it right now. That would mean on average, you know, again, Wembley was a big show, so it kind of skews the average up. On average, AEW would have a live attendance of approximately 4.5 million people per show. That's why I questioned it. Could this be a real image? Could he have actually said that?
Did he give him one of these fucking bullshit statistics that the WWE comes up with all the time, where they've had 17 billion social media engagements and that Fox just fucked it up somehow? And how could that be? Again, how could that be?
Did they have 500 million viewers? I mean, I've never thought about the exact number. Yeah.
There can't be 500 million of anything except maybe empty seats in the buildings they've run. Now we could tally that up. It'd take a while, but what in the world?
Should he be the one promoting the pay-per-views?
I don't think so.
On business channels?
I don't think he ought to be on a business channel. What does the wrestling business look like when this crazy-haired, wide-eyed fucking guy is, it's great, 500 million people. Anyway, if anybody has can forward us a clip of the Fox Business News appearance by Tony so we can verify these things. That's insane.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Drive Thru. It's out of tune. Just like us. We'll be back on The Experience in a few days. That'll be more fun, more exciting. Death of WCW. Nope. Who killed WCW? The big mystery that isn't a mystery at all. Who killed WCW? Who asked these talking heads to appear in this documentary? All those questions and so much more. Plus, SmackDown. We'll find out what happens next in the adventures of the Bloodline on The Experience. Go through the archive, patreon.com/Cornette, $5 a month. Get you through the archive. Go to the official YouTube channel, subscribe. Travis Heckel artwork, full episodes, the clips, and so much more. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. I'm tired. It's time to wrap this up. Cornette's Collectibles. What's going on, Jim?
I'm selling stuff. You need to buy it.
At JimCornette.com. The Law is Stephen P. New, 888-877-50-Steve. Call him today if you need to. Otherwise, leave him alone.
Call him just to check in. He wants to hear from you.
Get even with Stephen New, lawoffice.com. All the usual social media crap. We'll talk to you on The Experience for Jim Cornette songs next week. For Jim Cornette, I'm the great Brian Last. Tally-ho!